Just me.
All right. We are live. Look at that. A little bit of behind the scenes action.
No music?
We'll even start with a different song today. Happy Decision Day, friends. We're live here on Tried and True, the Decision Day watch party? What do we call that?
I like it.
Whole gang's here. We've got DC United versus Montreal on the main screen. We've got Columbus, Atlanta up on a screen. I got to switch one over here to put Miami up. And, of course, we've got Chicago, NYCFC. Ooh. And, guys, just kind of reiterate some of the things that we had talked about on Twitter. If you're coming here expecting to see the game, fortunately, you're going to be a little disappointed. We do not have the rights to retransmit the game, so you won't actually see the game here. You can check it out if you're in the DC area on WJLA 24/7 News or streaming at dcunited.com/stream. And, of course, all of the games out of market are available on ESPN+. But what you will see is us. You will see Joshua struggling to get his mic connected, attached to the table. So he'll hopefully join us here at some point.
The reason we decided to do this format, obviously everyone's familiar with it. We tossed around doing like a Zoom call or something so we could see you all. Obviously it's a little more personable, but we've done that in the past in different groups, and it gets a little difficult when people, their streams are on different times, even just a couple second difference. You have some people cheering, some people, really sad, whatever. So we decided that this would probably be the easiest way to watch with you all and chat and comment. And there's already some action going. We've been talking over it, had a little bit of housekeeping to do, but
yeah, we've got the Philly keeper down.
Montreal.
Yeah,
Black's watching a different game.
We've got to build into the game too.
Yeah, I think Rivas is down a little bit. Yeah, he's getting, which is not great. They both looked very hurt. So.
Yeah, not how you want to start. Chad Ashton looking like he's out on a golf outing today with the hat on there. It's interesting times. Could this be Ashton's final game? Could we get into the playoffs, go on a run? Does he have a chance to be, in the final rounds of interviews and things? But, more importantly, as we look at Paul Arriola now,
yes,
so excited to have him back. I don't know if you guys had a chance to see the video the team put together on Paul.
I haven't yet.
It was incredible. They did a fantastic job with that.
Absolutely did.
Watching him kick against the sensor, trying to show that his legs are back to normal, that's gives you chills.
All of the emotions, for sure, in that video, and shout out to Claudia Pagan and the DC United media team. They just did a great job capturing that over many months of the struggle.
And it's remarkable that he's gotten back to a point where he can potentially factor in this game. Like, we were sure that when the injury happened back in February that was it for the year, but to have him put in the work and even to be in the 18, 22, whatever we're calling it.
I'm just gonna Dave Johnson it today.
You just hold the mic. There we go. And it looks like Rivas is gonna have to come out here.
Yeah.
Kamara's on the side, already warming up, ready to come in, and that's a devastating way to lose your first sub and one of the windows in the second minute, I think was when he went down.
If that late.
So while we're waiting, obviously a lot of different things need to happen for DC United to continue on into postseason. It looks like he's bleeding a lot, the Montreal keeper.
God.
Sorry. So obviously DC United needs to win. A tie won't cut it here. We've been here before with Montreal. We got to win. And then there are a plethora of other things that need to happen. DC United tweeted out a graphic. We tweeted it out from the show. So take a look if you're not aware of what's happening. But essentially, as John mentioned, we have our eyes on the Chicago NYFC game, the Columbus Atlanta game, and the Miami Cincinnati game. So there's a whole bunch of different options, and we can run through them as the games progress and we start getting into those options. It'd be super complicated, I think, to try to talk through it right now.
Like you said, we've got to win. probably need some help. It's not completely in your hands. But,
definitely needs some help. Yeah.
but with that many different circumstances going on, there's certainly an avenue to do it.
All right. It looks like Kamara has come on for Rivas. Hopefully that's not too severe an injury, and we'll be able to see him in our first playoff game.
And longtime listeners will know that I'm a big New York Giants fan, and they're in to use a soccer term, they're in squeaky bum time right now against the Washington football team, which is really painful to say. So I'll have my eyes on that screen as well.
So if John just starts cheering or crying, it's not necessarily for the DC United game.
And we will try to spare all the listeners from having to hear anything more about the Washington football team.
I don't actually even know how to look at comments on YouTube.
There are currently none.
Okay.
But if you're hanging out with us and you have thoughts, please jump in the comments. Let us know what you're thinking about the really strange first 6 minutes of action here. Oh, this is promising. Oh, finish that up. Get in.
Who was that? Sorga? That a boy.
That's what we're talking about. Oh, he's offside.
No.
I wondered.
Offside would be the death of me this weekend.
Oh. And did we lose?
I'd love to see that
audio?
replay. Yeah, I don't know if that audio should be going over our YouTube.
It's fair.
That's why I turned it down.
Gotcha.
Now if we got Dave to call in directly.
Right, yeah, then I think we'll clear.
Did they show the replay? I would have liked to have
They've
seen.
not.
I mean, it didn't.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like one of those situations where potentially if Sorga hadn't stepped
Ooh,
forward.
what a ball.
There it is. Oh!
We'd
That
have to go
was a
back
good
and look at the build-up to see what the call was. But
Yeah, the
If-
players didn't look so, like especially mad that ball got called back. All right, this is what just happened. I like Assad taking all the shots. Maybe not from super far out,
Yeah, I
but
was
the
gonna
shot
say.
right here is pretty good.
That's a good shot. And on behind the scenes here on the show, you'll see that sometimes calls come in. Sometimes we got to take bio breaks. All kinds of things happen here on the show.
All right, we got a corner for DC United.
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't need to dictate the game because we're probably about 2 minutes behind for people.
Are we?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what I was just about to say also is that we are at we're just coming up on 8 minutes into the game. So if you are ahead, behind, whatever, you can know that's kind of where we are at. We just hit 8 minutes.
Yes!
Yes!
Yes! Yes! That one's got to
Yes,
count.
Pines!
Buddy!
Oh, the celebration!
Oh, they're
man.
mobbing now.
Let's go!
That one will stand.
Yes. Oh, everyone's so happy for him. You love to see it.
Yeah, nobody else had a chance on that. My dude was already towering over that back line, and look at him get off the ground.
I love the
That's what I'm
celebration.
talking
It's
about,
almost
man.
unfair how much taller he is. I think they have a left back on him because that guy is easily a foot and a half shorter than Pines.
Oh, yay. You love to see it. You love to
Meanwhile,
see
every
it.
time I look up, the football team have 1st and 10 over here.
All right, let's put it on the scoreboard.
And now we get to
There
tell
we go.
Black that DC United scored.
so I get to watch the rest of the game from outside.
Yeah, that's right.
Those are the rules, Black. If you don't like them, you shouldn't have enforced them.
Well, Joshua is actually going to be relegated back to his bathroom in the other apartments. So.
There was a game. Which game was that? It was that Philly?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we made Joshua stand in the bathroom for quite some time because they scored while he was in there. That's a nice little move by Yamil.
Moses sees the switch out wide. Oh.
All right, should I give the live update? I want to walk the line between, giving the update and jinxing it. As all games stand right now, we're in.
If these
Yeah,
results
you
hold,
shouldn't do that.
If these results
very
hold.
early.
Gene,
I'm putting it out there.
Gene from the YouTube chat has expelled Michael Black, so I don't know. I can turn off his camera and we can all pretend he's not here. That feels a little mean to leave him out in the cold.
It's unseasonably warm outside, and I'll be fine.
Well, Gene also said that we're way behind her on the feed, and it's a good thing we can't see her. So that's why we avoided Zoom today.
Yep.
I actually think we might be around the same time, but the way the YouTube goes, it's about like a solid.
Yeah, that's true.
that
This is
makes-
trouble. Oh,
Yes!
man.
Oh!
Mines.
That was his chest.
Yes!
Oh, come
Oh
on.
That was his chest, right?
Oh yeah.
And it's a pick for the Giants. Let's go.
John's having a good time over here.
What a moment.
Yeah, Joshua, that was a good point. We're probably around the same time in the DC United game, but broadcasting YouTube cuts us back a couple seconds.
Oh, that's a great save by Bill. And oh, man.
I think
this
he got
Pines get
megged. I don't know that was a save by
It
Bill.
deflected through
He
his
was going
legs.
down, yeah.
And then Pines on the line right there. Brilliant. Man.
Pines lucky tonight. And it is monsooning in Miami as we look up to that game. Wow.
I don't know what kind of a pass that was from
Here come
Sorga.
United.
That's a pen.
Ooh.
I don't know.
There's
about
shouts
that.
there.
I mean, yeah, it's got to get looked
We'll
at.
go back and look at it. And we'll look
I
at
mean,
it.
if you're a Kamara, you got to fall down the way he did. So
I mean, I'd rather he get the shot off.
Well, one of the things that's going to be interesting here, and obviously, unfortunately, because Rivas went off hurt so early, the second half striker changes that have kind
Kamara.
of become a hallmark.
Kamara, I know you're
We're
not
not gonna
limping right
see.
now.
I mean, he just got fouled in the box.
It could be.
All right, well, then sell it to get the call and then stop limping, because
It is an absolutely beautiful day in the district. They
Mhm.
just flashed the weather up there, and it's, oh man, would have been a perfect day to be at the game today.
yeah, how many times have we been to November games that have been absolutely frigid?
Yeah.
Well, last year the game was super hot too. I remember I bought a hat when they were on, like a winter hat when they were on sale, and I was like, I'm gonna wear this when we make the playoffs.
Oh, this is trouble. Nice
Good tackle.
play.
That was all ball. That's good.
That's Fred. We finally gonna look at that play?
Yeah, can we get the replay? I mean, this is the first time it's been out, so this would be the first time that they could talk to the ref about
He
it
gets
too.
that with his back foot. It's a pretty interesting tackle.
All other games still 0-0.
And it would appear the check is complete.
I still just want to see that replay though.
Yeah, me too.
Ooh,
Mommy
job,
with a
Bill.
Big punch.
That's and my mom. Jean's my mom. Did she say anything else?
She asked for a meteor strike. We'll
Oh.
I don't think that was what we had in mind.
probably need that meteor strike a little bit before that.
Wow. Ugh, and Jones gets sacked on third down too, man.
Bill is not amused.
The exact
I mean,
opposite.
I mean,
Let's break this down. Pine's getting worked. Oh man,
That's
that's pretty
frustrating.
shameful. I'm not sure how you have two people open in the back post like that. It's because you have
Nah.
5 people
That's
around
a
the human with the ball.
That's a lucky ass ball that he gets through there, though.
It doesn't matter. You should not have 2 people open in the back post like that. I mean, that's what happens if you play 3 in the back, though, right? You don't have an outside right back
Yeah, I don't know what
who
else.
should have been there.
I don't know what else you do if your Pine's there. I mean, you're on him tight. You're holding him up. He's
Yo, the
I
goal
don't
was
know
definitely
where-
not on him.
Oh, absolutely. I wonder where Gressel was
He
in
got
that.
dragged though. Let's be honest.
I mean, there didn't need to be 5 people helping him out. I wonder where Gressel was in that play, because that's where because there's no right outside back, he needed to be coming back and picking up at least one of those marks.
Well, Pines is the left center back, so there should have been a Briant and Knaus behind him.
Knaus is back there.
Yeah.
Knaus was there marking no one. Marking space, really.
Ah.
Oh, Kamara is still learning soccer. Knocks it out of bounds on ice.
Wow, what a turn we've seen from Joshua in regards to
How many goals does he need today?
Yeah, I think he's, 17 away?
17 away.
Did you say at least 20? Because then
I
that'd be
never
18.
actually said that. You guys keep saying I said it.
But you
Are
said
you
it at
kidding
least
me?
twice.
Check the records. We've made
I
it a
think you
joke.
said to check the records. Like when you made the prediction, you said, "I'm doing
So
this live."
are you saying that he has been a 20-goal man?
Yes. He's been a mid-teens goal man. I'm sorry, I didn't expect DC United to have to fire Ben Olsen this year because they were so bad in the offense.
Well, we do have good news in Chicago. New York City have just gone up 1-0. As news almost gets worse in the district.
I think we've seen early on that both teams are definitely aware that they have to go for it and get a win here. You can't really sit back and just let things develop. You got to score goals.
That's a save.
Fingertip save there by Bill.
Yeah, that's worth noting is Montreal is hovering right around the line like we are. I'm not as familiar with their playoff paths, but
winning in.
Yeah, they're in right now. So, assuming that it's always easier to hold serve, right?
MLS Soccer does not have a live table.
they don't.
That's really poor.
The good thing is there's still plenty of soccer to play.
I think we're all a little stunned there. That goal came out of nowhere.
It did. Because we had a lot of that like forward momentum too.
Well, it's like we've been talking about. The team's going to have to find a way to deal with adversity.
And we have been doing that in recent games, right? Since the coaching change, our momentum has definitely shifted, and our mentality. So
For sure. And, we heard that from some of the guys in the press conferences over the last few weeks, talking about how it always felt like you were waiting for the next shoe to drop, what's going to go wrong next.
yep. Ooh, it's a
Here's
good
a
little ball.
chance.
How is there still a brown patch on the field?
I'm wondering if it's because they practice there all the time now. Oh, picked off again by the Giants, and that's the game. There we go. I don't actually know who Alex Smith was looking for there. Sorry to our Washington football team followers.
It's okay. If my mom's still the only one watching, she's also a Giants fan. So.
We got 5 concurrent
Oh,
viewers.
hi everyone. I can't figure out how
Slowly
to look at
trickling in.
the comments on my phone. So
Oh, why is nobody pressuring, man? It keeps way out.
all right, for everyone watching, we are just hitting 18:20. Again, there's a little bit of a delay as YouTube broadcasts out to you all. So you're probably a little bit ahead of us, but regardless, let us know what you think.
Oh boy.
Oh, this is a replay. I was like, how do they have the ball again?
Not a whole lot to speak of from the other two games, besides the goal in the NYC Chicago game. Still 0-0 in Columbus and in Cincinnati. If I'm honest, that's probably the most outside result. Miami playing against already eliminated Cincinnati team who really hasn't shown.
Oh, and they just ripped a golazo, did Miami.
No.
Wow.
Not a great situation for DC, but still all to play for.
Yeah. As of right now, I mean, assuming that DC United comes back, as of right now, that's the game that kind of least affects our path.
That's a rocket.
At least we're not in a situation where we're counting goals for, goals against.
Yeah.
Trying to, you get some interesting games where you have to score a certain number of goals. Like thinking back a couple years ago to the first time Man City won the Champions League in a while, or
That was sad.
there've been times when you have World Cups where you're playing against a team who's not even on the field. Big opportunity here.
Oh, another heavy first touch by Gressel.
Julian.
Sorry,
He was
Michael,
like
go ahead.
already looking for that cross and wasn't super paying attention to the ball at his feet.
Sure.
Yeah, sorry, Black, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, it's not a situation where you're playing against another team who's not on the field. You have to get your win and then have everything else comes together. There's no real reason to look at a scoreboard because if you don't win, then nothing else matters.
Risky there from Brillant.
I mean, if anything, I feel like that was a foul on Montreal.
Yeah. That's part of the reason too why they play these games all together on decision day, right? Because a lot of times, I mean, always your positioning in the table, or in tournaments, your positioning in the group affects who you play next. And there were definitely situations where teams, if they knew they were through but they didn't want to play the first place team of the next group or whatever, would like throw games in order to get a favorable matchup in the next game. If they already knew some of the other results, that's kind of why we do decision day. Everyone plays at the same time, so you can't really make those cheeky little adjustments.
And it's kind of remarkable that in a year where we've had so many games rescheduled or moved around or changed for COVID, that we are able to get all of the games in this conference in the same window right now. It's really fortunate and does help hold up the integrity of what we're watching here.
Absolutely. And that's, I think, a testament to like how seriously the players took it and all the staff and everything like that. Obviously, I think most teams did have a couple COVID positive cases, but they handled it really responsibly, were able to prevent it from spreading throughout the team, and you're right, all the games were able to get played.
Yeah, I for one am glad that we're not having to deal with points per game in our conference. Somehow it just ended up working out that way.
Yeah.
Kind of a mess. Chicago probably deserved to be in the playoffs, but with the number of games they had canceled and having to make a decision on making it not based on total points, but just how you were doing along the way, it feels a little bit off to me. But a lot of things have been off this year.
Yeah. Real Madrid down 2-1 at half to Villarreal.
Just giving all the updates.
Sorry, that's Valencia.
All
my
the
fault.
sports
Wrong
updates.
V team in Spain. Yeah, I follow a lot of teams, which most of the time guarantees I lose games every week.
And somehow they all managed to play at the same time, too.
Oh. Oh, that was very nearly 2 for Miami. We'll wrestle with the right idea.
Yeah. So do you all think we see Paul today?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I have to think that they put him on the bench for a reason. Even if it's just a cameo late. But frankly, he's a guy who can impact the game,
And that is 2 for Miami. Is that Joshua Morgan who scored?
Yeah.
Supporter section is going nuts.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Not the most ideal. But again, not the most directly impactful game.
They are into one of the playoff spots now, so
Yeah.
I would like to thank the DC United app for luring me to turn into the pre-match show just now.
yeah.
Oh. I still get my daily morning notification from DC United that says DC United.
I do as well. It's a good way to wake up.
Yeah, we're still here thinking about you. Joshua, under 2 minutes for the Panthers, knocking on the door, down 9 to Kansas City. It's not a bad
Tank for Trevor.
It was a heck of a game last night.
For Trevor?
Not for Trevor. Well, I guess for Trevor's value to that team, maybe.
seems likely we're going to see those two teams again too.
Yeah.
It's a nice job by Sorga here. Just a little bit ahead. The Miami broadcast is showing a live table, and they're actually using points per game, which is interesting because, as we said, they're all the same right now. So you don't really have – you just do points. But
Yeah.
Yeah, because
They might have. Isn't the Western Conference uneven? So they might just be reporting it as points per game, even though it doesn't matter in the East. So that way it's the same metric.
yeah. Oh, that's a really bad place for that graphic.
Ooh, way to keep it in. It's a little bit worrisome to me that we're playing 3 in the back, and one of those humans is Russell Canales, and he is so far up the field constantly.
well, and part of it's the mentality you got to play with, right? You've got to get forward. You got to score.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. We also, I don't think, can be able. We don't have the luxury of being scored on.
Yeah, and I don't know how much they've had a chance to work this in practice, and part of it may be injuries as well. But
it looks like we have a VAR check in Columbus.
I saw their keeper was just down.
You got a replay here.
Oh, I think they're looking at a possible PK.
Yeah, they might be looking at that.
And
And
Atlanta
we got
wins.
Ismail Elfath on the scene, so you know this will be the right call.
got a VAR. No PK?
I don't know.
I don't know what those
I think a
symbols
drop
are.
ball. I think it's no PK, and it's going to be a drop ball.
Gressel with the chance there.
So
but
was he giving a
skies
PK originally and then overturned it?
I don't know.
I wouldn't say
Stephen
skies.
Glass is not looking amused.
Yeah, let's see. And now we have to watch a replay on the DC United game, as Joshua said. Yeah, Gressel had a chance there. Oh, why didn't he lay it off?
Also, why
He
didn't
could have laid it off to Kamara.
He had
Would've
all the
been-
time
could've
on
been
that
4.
ball to
I
put
think
it
he's
on
laid it off to
frame,
Kamara
too.
enough times this year.
He knows.
I mean, that's a real factor. I mean, you got to consider.
What is this, Madrid?
Yeah, Donovan Pines dribbling past the end line as a center back is not something you love to see. He turns it over, not surprisingly.
We saw Wesley Fofana do that earlier today, and I guess they're slightly different players.
Yeah, a couple million.
It looks kind of like
It's
a kid in a candy shop. Like, I've got the ball. I'm going forward. I don't know what to do with it, but still got the ball.
Oh, I don't think Yamil and Sorgo were on the same page
There are a lot
there.
of defenders, yeah, when you see them dribble, and then once they cross the halfway, you can see that they're like, oh, I'm out of my
Panic
element.
sets in.
I don't really know what to do with it at this point.
It looks like TFC have gone down. I think they're playing Red Bull, so that would give Philadelphia Union the Supporter Shield as it stands, their first trophy ever.
Yeah.
I know a lot
That's
of
rough.
DC fans like to root against them.
I don't think is that real?
I saw quite a couple tweets that were less than positive about
Alright.
Philly.
I mean, I personally root against the city of Philadelphia and everything, but it's probably biased from my other.
I think maybe rooting
Other life.
against them and then being like a quote unquote rival is a little different.
It's a choice between Philly or Toronto winning the Shield. I mean,
I'd probably
Yeah,
choose Philly
I
over.
wouldn't hate Philly. Oh, and we have a goal for Columbus.
That's good for DCU.
That is
Yep.
good for DC United. We have some poor camera work here. Sorga is absolutely being fouled there. Onside kick for the Panthers.
Close one.
And
Aston Villa finished 3 on Arsenal.
they've win 3-0?
Yeah.
Let's go. Steve confirming that he also has issues with the DC United app, just pinging you every morning.
They're just testing to make sure the notifications work
Yeah.
in case they ever have to announce something.
yeah, but then they send out a notification halfway through the game about the pregame show.
Neil, I agree. There should absolutely be a whip around show for MLS Decision Day, and we would have happily hosted it. Like, I could have done my best, Scott Hansen, and just kind of whipped us around to.
Fortunately, we're still at the point where MLS wants us to pay for the rights. We're not quite at the point where they're going to even just give us the rights, let alone like pay us. They're just
Yeah, that's a little behind the scenes fact for you guys. We tried real hard this year to actually get the rights to show replays from the local broadcast, and didn't quite come together in the beginning of the season, and a lot of that was just uncertainty of what was going to happen, and then Orlando was, not local rights, so it was going to be a whole other package. But I look forward to having those conversations again next year and seeing if that's something we can bring you
moderately
on
positive.
the show. Yeah,
MLS seemed pretty open to allowing us to do that,
which would definitely help. I think being able to show the plays and talk through them. Oh, here's a
handball?
chance. I thought it hit him in his back, but here's Queen
he's
Nyman.
down as if that was not a handball. But.
Man.
Julian, that's not the ball every time.
Has Julian made a decision you guys agreed with all year?
Yes, absolutely. He's had good balls this game.
I don't think they agree with
Welcome
that either.
to DC. No, I like him being here. I like Gressel.
Oh no.
This is trouble. Oh, he missed that one wide. Wow.
Gressel, why didn't you stop that?
Russell, no.
Oh man. No, I think we've talked about this on the show, right? I think Gressel has a good cross, a good long ball a lot of the time.
I think that that's his specialty, right? And we're seeing him more and more try to take those shots, and I mean there were 8 people in front of him, and he's trying to take a shot.
Well,
he has scored several times this year.
Yeah. He's in the running
too, so.
for the Golden Boot.
We're currently playing strikers we picked up from the Turkish and Estonian league right now. So
wait, where's Pines in the Golden Boot race?
Second. Oh, he might have tied for
Was that
first
3?
now.
I think
Yo, if Donnie Pines wins the Golden Boot for DC United, we're all about to have to drink a boot on the show.
And it's also possible that Gressel hasn't been getting a whole lot of sleep this week, given the newborn at home and all the attendance stresses with that.
Good point.
For sure, good point. And I cannot wait to see him out there at the same time as Paul. I mean, we might see it for a little bit today, but I'm just thinking of a full 34-game season where you got both those guys out there at the same time quite a bit. That's going to be fun.
Do y'all think we're going to start on time next year? I mean, we don't have any official
Tied.
But as far as going in, we normally expect the season to start last week in February, first week in March. Do you think we get that? Do you think we push back a little bit later?
I thought I'd heard a rumor somewhere. I don't know if it was Grant Wall or Brian Strauss or somebody was reporting that they were thinking maybe starting in April, which would then allow for
us to be on the regular calendar.
No, but more of the hopefully more stadiums are comfortable with some level of fans. Hopefully we're further along in terms of a vaccine, and also it would lengthen the off-season break a little bit because it'll be shorter than they at least intended this year, even though they didn't play nearly as many games.
I wonder what that will mean for injuries, because it's kind of a catch-22 at this point. You see that a lot of they were just talking about that on an EPL.
Yes!
Let's go.
Come on.
16
It's Ola Kamara!
Who is now in the lead for DC United Golden Boot.
And I believe if this result holds,
Why do they all look
DC
shocked?
United would be in the playoffs. And New York City just pulled another one on Chicago. That's a big moment, too, as they go up 2-0.
While we're doing updates, TFC scored or got scored on again by Red Bull, so Philly are clutching on to the Supporter Shield now. Yeah.
You'll love to see
They
it.
got a hand and a half on it now.
Beautiful.
Was it like Gressel cross? No, he's
It
in
was
the
a
box.
corner.
No.
Oh.
We
Yeah,
really
it
haven't
was a
seen
It
it.
was off a corner.
We haven't seen enough
Oh.
of that
He
from
crossed
Flores
from the
took
corner.
it.
Oh.
Yeah.
from the Fords this year. Is being the target on a set piece like that and putting it in. We've scored plenty of goals.
Oh, they're crediting that as fourth, so he's all alone.
Yeah.
All right.
He had 2 PKs.
They were getting ready to slice that boot up into somebody gets a lace,
16ths, yeah.
somebody gets the tongue.
Oh, you mail down here.
Oh.
Oh, this is not good.
He does not.
I
Got
didn't
magic
even
spray
see
on
him
it.
go down
Me
on the
neither.
play.
Looks like he's clutching his head, though, which is not great.
The Clorox is wearing off.
Okay, I mean, while Assad was down, what I was just trying to get at, but I knew that it was a corner, so I was taking my time a little bit. But they were just talking about, I don't remember which game, but it was an EPL game, about because of such the quick turnaround between that season, right? They usually have the summer off, but they had just 8 weeks or something like that. You're seeing a lot of muscle injuries and soft tissue injuries to players in the EPL. So I mean, that probably has to do with them. They had to shove kind of all those games in at the end of last season, and then they're playing a lot of games this season. So if MLS didn't start until April, that gives them a longer off season. But are you then shoving more games into the 2021 season? And will we see a whole lot of injuries? Ooh, Chicago just pulled one back.
Oh, that's not good. No, it's a good point, Sam. And in theory, we'll have the Open Cup, and we'll have Champions League for a number of teams, not us. We'll have, I don't know, did they just like...
No, Champions League's not out of the question yet.
I guess that's true. Did they just totally bin Campeones Cup and Leagues Cup and all those other things we were supposed to be in? Like, do we just lose that berth now?
I feel like we're, like, sleeping on a lot. Like, no one really talked about how the Open Cup didn't happen this year. I feel like everyone's focused. Same. Also, like, historic tragedy that was, like, the longest-running soccer tournament, and it didn't happen.
Oh, guys, we're not talking about the game here. This is well after the play. This guy should be red-carded on Montreal.
Oh, I missed. Oh, is that why they were showing those replays?
Yeah. I mean, there's just no... He didn't hit him in the head. It looked like he hit him in the back, and then Yamil fell. But I don't...
We'll see Yamil's skills at passing the concussion test.
Oh, sorry, I broke this.
What'd you break? Oh, Sam broke a twist tie. Jeez.
I'm really anxious.
Put it on your tab. I don't understand how we're not looking at that. I'm going to go on Twitter here and see what we can find.
Yeah, it's weird with talking about schedule next year and compression and making all those things work.
Buddy.
If today does end up being our last game of the season, which right now it is not.
It's not right now.
Still, and we're playing. So
they didn't even look at that. Wow, that's shameful.
But if you come back in April, that's 5 months between competitive games. That's a long time. Happy to have any competitive games after the way we were earlier this year,
but that's a month and a half. Give or take, like 5 games that you're then compressing. Because I wonder what they would do at the end of the season. Obviously, they were trying to get the seasons ending a little bit earlier. I wonder if they'd just continue into a little bit elongated, and then 2022 would kind of resume our regularly scheduled programming.
Yeah, and 2022 is going to be weird anyway.
World Cup here.
World Cup being
in November and December. Looking forward to watching World Cup games on Thanksgiving morning, though.
DC United less than 60 minutes away from a playoff berth, as it stands.
Yeah, I mean, lots of time left, but just to be in that situation, I mean, it wasn't a month ago that I think even Sam was probably not thinking we'd be here.
It was always more than 1%.
I think it was always more than 0%. I don't know if it was always more than 1%.
You're right. Sometimes it was less than 1, but it was still over 0. I think sometimes I was a little less optimistic than other times, but
Sam is the beacon of hope on this show, as longtime listeners know.
We're not out till we're out, as proven today.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, 538 is not updating live odds, which is probably a little bit too much to ask.
What did we come into the day at? Like 22, I think?
22. Montreal at 47, Atlanta 27, Chicago 52, Miami 52 as well.
I think they stopped updating probabilities on decision day, much like election day.
Makes sense.
So every team below DC United in the standings right now is losing. This is the ideal scenario?
Yeah, this is what we need.
If Jean's still listening, we'll have to see if she's looking for another meteor strike. Just different one than the last time, because that one wasn't what we wanted. Yeah,
because the Miami result is fine for us right now.
It's the right idea by Gressel.
The Miami result is fine with everything else.
Yeah. I do. You guys know I appreciate local broadcasts. I appreciate seeing all those things. It looks like New York City's pulled another one back. The broadcast is a little bit ahead. The DC United broadcast, that is ahead of the game we have on here. So they're up 3-1 now, which is essentially burying Chicago's hopes. A draw for Chicago would not be enough if DC United win, if I recall correctly. But I will say the Miami broadcast, I believe they're partnered with their local Univision station as well as My33. They're doing a fantastic job. Anytime there's a goal in one of the games, they go double box, they show it. That's about as close to the wraparound show as
what a goal from New York City.
Oh,
Sorry, we just saw it. It was a probably less impressive when you watch the replay, but it was a little bit of a rocket from the top of the box.
Is our TV contract up again this offseason?
The
When are
Panthers.
they? When are they doing the team-wide one?
I believe it's 2022. Ours
Yeah.
is definitely up, but I think 2022 is the same way you're asking league-wide, national, and all that.
Because they've always been telling teams to try to coordinate to hit that. I didn't
Here,
know if
John,
that got pushed back, but
Oh, what a great goal!
Left-footed with the
Yeah.
laces.
nothing to do about that.
Yo, where can I get the polo that Chad Ashton's rocking though?
I have the hat.
With the on the
Yeah,
summer.
with it, I like that.
That's our ball.
I have a white polo and it's like player fit, and I am not player fit. So like, I mean, it works, but it's a little tight.
You can get it, but you got to put a number on the back.
Right. It's a weird deflection.
Nice play by Gressel right there.
Yeah.
Good to see Yamil's
He should have controlled it.
back up and about and seemingly no worse for the wear.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't understand how that's not looked at. That's
Oh, we didn't update the score. My bad.
Call him out.
that's
Okay.
a foul again.
Are you kidding me? That's absolutely a card.
He's getting it.
He's getting it.
Also, let's like look at persistent infringement on Yamil Assad at some point.
Persistent infringement was one of the names we threw around when we were trying to name the show earlier this season.
I was thinking about that the other day.
I think we'd all have to be a little bit more angsty if we wanted to pull
Yeah.
off that name.
I'm too positive.
I think
for
I'd be fine.
Yeah, Joshua fits. Sam, you'd have to be off the show. Or we'll get you to talk like only about Brighton, Hove, and Albion.
3 games a week.
That's
That's
right.
right.
I don't think we marked this show as explicit, but you can imagine. What
I
I'm
did
saying.
look because I didn't know how this would go. So
You got Donovan Pines in a corner. That's
Good ball in from Gressel.
Yeah, no.
we're just gonna like cowbell every time Gressel does something well right at Joshua.
Oh, Moses.
Moses turned out there, he's gonna tackle that guy like a 2-armed NFL tackle, not a soccer tackle.
All right. I don't know. Maybe I want to see out these last few minutes of the half. Go in the locker room, check the scores, or
Nope.
do you
No,
stay?
No way.
Chad
No,
was
stay off.
very clear that was not happening.
It doesn't matter. It does not matter what's going on around the league. They have got to win.
What do you think? 2 minutes of added time? 3?
Oh, this is trouble. There could be a couple.
Oh.
No.
No foul. No foul.
Wait. Bill just ran up. He also still looks sad. Can we get a view at like what the ref is doing?
No, close-ups only.
Oh man.
Close up on players who are not reacting to anything.
Oh, it's a good ball. What is Brillant doing there, though? He gets beat, and he just kind of peels towards the middle.
I mean,
of the box.
Donovan got that ball.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's definitely
yeah,
all ball.
Donovan barely touched him. You know, he was looking to fall down the whole time.
Yeah, that's a corner.
All right, let's.
Gene says we need more cowbell.
We'll get John working the board for every.
Yeah, that's another upgrade here. We're gonna start getting more sound effects on the board next season.
That can actually be Julian's. Goal or assist for Julian. We play the cowbell.
I mean, one of the first ones we're gonna do is we're gonna go back and get the Joshua Morgan woo from the Miami game,
Yes.
and I'm just gonna hit that randomly.
Yes.
Only when Olaf
Woo!
scores.
Oh man, so funny. On that note, if there are things that you would like to see us incorporate, please let us know, as we will look to make upgrades and figure out what's been working and what hasn't in the off season.
Yes.
Come on, switch the pace.
Transfer window will be open. We'll have some acquisitions, hopefully.
Whoa, I don't know if I go that far.
Not for personnel.
Equipment acquisitions.
Sponsor
down.
acquisitions. Oh.
Sam's looking to replace some of us, apparently.
Yeah, wow. Another chance for Chicago here. This could be trouble. And they
Ooh.
did score. Look at that.
Dude.
It's 3-2. I called them dead, and then like that, they pulled back 2 goals in
So-
3 minutes.
So to be fair, a New York City win or tie is fine for us.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah. So this Chicago game, wow.
So that with a thick Chicago accent there.
Okay, it
Chicago.
was showing 3-3 for a second. I think Google's scoreboard operator might be messing up.
God, are
I
they
can
Can't be
relate.
having that.
So this Chicago game and the Atlanta game are probably our biggest threats to the playoff now. Atlanta losing one or losing 0-1 right now. Chicago losing 2-3. It says 3-3 again.
Yeah, that's what we need. We want Columbus to win.
Yeah, I'm saying Atlanta would be the biggest threat.
Yeah, I don't like seeing that.
I don't think we're that far behind, are we? I mean, apparently.
I don't know. A whip around show would have been helpful for this, so I wouldn't have to rely on.
A Columbus win or draw only comes in if Chicago wins, and then we care about the Miami game.
Yeah, the Miami game's not going great, so.
So if Chicago were to come back, score another 2 goals, win the game, then we would draw. Again, it's not really worth running through every couple of minutes.
It's still a lot.
8 minutes of added time.
There are a lot of injuries.
That almost guarantees that we'll be the last game to finish, which is kind of wild.
It's stressful.
Kind of crazy that they're still playing in Miami.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Ah, shoot.
Yep, that is
The
3-3
Chicago
for
game.
Chicago.
Wow.
We gotta update that game at halftime.
That's nuts. Total meltdown by New York City there.
So yes, we are currently tied on points with Chicago, but we
would
as
go
it
through on
stands,
wins.
Yeah.
Which, thank God, the first tiebreaker is not goal differential because.
It's kind of crazy to think back.
I don't think we would.
I'm looking at it right now. We would have 6 wins. They would have 5.
An NYC win or draw is
Yeah,
is
so
So I'm
for us.
looking from what the team put out. It says Chicago win. It depends upon the Columbus-Atlanta game.
But Chicago's not winning.
Oh,
Right.
you're right. I'm sorry. My bad.
We're going to do that plenty of times today.
Too many games, man.
Try to bear with us, y'all watching at home.
Correct us, too. Let us know.
Valencia's up 4-1 on Real right now as I hang my head.
Because we don't have nearly enough games to check.
Yeah, where does that fit in the DC United 2 post-game progression?
Oh, which game do you want on there? That one?
Yeah.
Yeah, Sam, can you grab the remote under that TV?
Looks like Philly just went up 1-0. This would be the supporters' shield for them.
Wow.
Which some of us on the show have argued is more important than the MLS Cup.
Has anyone argued that?
Yeah, I did.
Joshua
Joshua
incorrectly
was
argued
apparently
that.
drunk, yeah.
Nah.
This could be a problem.
Yeah, it's kind of weird thinking back to that Miami game back in March before the world went to hell, and thinking that if we hadn't come back in that,
Sorry.
if we had
the wrong people.
If we hadn't come back in that game, with that big comeback in the the 60th, the 70th minute, getting the red card, getting the 2 goals, getting a win over a team playing their second game, you're not even in the conversation for playoffs.
Yeah.
Now. But as it is,
Yeah.
both those teams could be looking at playoffs.
This classic MLS in the corner here.
That's the wrong order on the standings that they just flashed on the DC United game. Wins
Oh.
over the
No.
tiebreaker.
Oh. Yes.
Man, wow.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
That
This could be big trouble.
hard to call that an obvious error though, with the referee staring.
Yeah,
at
Yeah, I
it.
don't think that
was.
matters.
Oh, it could still be a problem. Wow. So,
Take the kick quickly, please.
I
So
mean,
it's
it's
at 8
still
minutes.
absurd that we didn't go back to. It's at 3 minutes. It's got to go all the way to 53
Right.
now.
I'm so stressed. My
I can
brain's
tell.
not working.
Let's see here. Oh, Canals eats it there, and then I don't know. That's really tough. I still can't believe we didn't go back to VAR for that after the whistle foul. Oh boy,
Doesn't look great.
Yeah,
it's not looking.
they
good.
could eat the penalty.
That's got to be either a penalty or a yellow card because
Well, why is this guy down though?
Because he's
Oh,
like
he's
rolling
the guy.
around.
Sorry, I thought
too.
that was the build up to the penalty.
No, same dude.
it looks like we're
Oh.
still
Oh
playing.
wow, they went with
VAR just
no
not
corner
present today.
and
Yeah.
no.
Oh, it was a goal kick.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
right.
It was a
Yeah,
goal.
okay.
It was a goal kick. He had.
Remember, the supporter group must have disabled the cameras.
Wow.
The raccoons chewed the cord.
I feel like we just were saying that about a game too, though, right? Like I just feel like VAR has not been a very heavy presence in the.
It was the New England game
Games recently.
that we played, right? And it almost seemed like a couple of us were saying it felt like they were the referees were almost reffing it as if it was not active. They were putting the flag up earlier than you would anticipate. So,
which I think we've had myriad discussions on VAR in general, but I think I'm fine with
Down with you.
having a situation where you're going to it less. It does seem like every time you're watching a Premier League game that every single decision is going to VAR in some respect.
well, did you see the Clemson Notre Dame game last night? Because everything was under review in that game. But yeah, no, it's it just seems like once again we're getting into that groove in England where they're like the implementation has been better in terms of them going to the monitor more and like. That seems better, but they're still getting calls wrong with regularity, which is like, I don't understand. It's frustrating. All right, I am going to reset the Chicago game.
Yeah, we're pretty far behind.
That Chromecast is from like 1992, so
It looks like
you'll have that.
Ends 3-3 at the half in Chicago. We need that result to hold to continue on, or Miami to just eat it here.
Or we could have New York City win. I mean,
looks like
that's
a
gonna be a
handball.
penalty.
Yeah, looks like Miami are about to get another one.
That's a recap.
freaking Chicago.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, they're at halftime. We're the only ones to play them.
Don't think we've seen an update on the injury to Rivas. Still kind of crazy to lose him in the second minute there.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
unfortunate.
We'll see how that impacts the strategy moving forward. 2 more windows, 4 more subs.
Yeah, do you guys think we'll see any halftime subs?
Maybe Paul.
Nah, there's no way he's ready to go 45 or more, right?
Yeah.
Like,
With stoppage time.
Yeah.
Especially being up 2-1. I don't know if...
I mean, I think we definitely push for another one. I don't think we bunker.
for sure. I don't think you bunker at all. But I think if you're
Which is crazy to say, talking about DC United.
But if you continue to hold this situation through about the 70th minute, do you switch to 4 at the back and start being a little bit less aggressive?
Probably, yeah. But that...
Joseph Moore is available. He was a late addition
Yeah.
to the bench. Was not on the original graphic. We'll see if he was on the team sheet.
It was nice to see the bench graphic being filled out like that. The couple games this year where we had 4 or 5 people on the bench, maybe counting 2 backup keepers.
Yeah, and Julian Gressel is not happy about that call there. Though it does appear to be the right one.
yeah.
I'm sure someone's looked at this in more detail than I have, but I'd be interested to see how much the magic spray has actually impacted folks staying 10 yards back for free kicks.
That was a terrible
Everything was wrong about that one, by the way. Oh, and it's not getting better.
We got to start giving some Montreal players yellows for all these dives. That's just, if you're gonna fall down in the box like that with your hand
That's
up,
like the second or third time, too.
Yeah.
You're right. Be interesting to see if we see that come more into play in the second half.
Well, it's also interesting because it has not rained in DC in the last couple of days, so it's not like it's particularly wet out there. That's a DC United player that goes down, Russell Canals.
Canals has spent a lot of time on the
No
ground.
whistle. Yeah.
You had him slipping a couple of times earlier, and
You do wonder, and this is something we don't talk about very often because you
Can we call it?
probably because we're at half. Normally going on the air at the end of the game, but what do the officials talk about at halftime? Right? I mean, are they getting together and saying, we probably need to get a hold of the dives in this second half?
For sure.
Are they talking about what? And is somebody going to go like pull the plug, like unplug and plug back in the VAR system to see if we can get it to work in the second half?
Oh, the officials are definitely doing that. They'll run through each of the
Good job,
Headed away,
Moses.
that's
major decisions from the first half, make sure everyone's on the same page, figure out, if some players are maybe getting heated, if there's a need to maybe tighten down with what they're doing, keep a special eye on certain behaviors from certain players. They're definitely reviewing all that. They're tweaking their performance as much as the players are.
Yeah, and you do wonder if there will be a retroactive red card. Obviously not in this game, but should Montreal advance to the postseason, or even if they don't, it could be the first game or two of next season, based on what wasn't called there.
Makes you think back to that final game at RFK where Lucio got himself sent off and then missed the opener the next year.
All right, so we have just at halftime.
Halftime it is, and we just need to keep this up. This is exactly what we want to see.
Yes.
Watching Donovan Pine's goal celebration there again.
I mean, this is the team that we kind of expected to see most of the year, right? This is the team that is fun. They're animating.
I love the tactics today.
They're going forward. They're scoring goals. Like, when was the last time we scored 2 goals in the first half? I mean, it's been a while.
Yeah.
I think this is kind of what we hoped for most of the season. And unfortunately, it hadn't really panned out that way. But if you're going to find your form, no time like the present to do it.
All right. So if you all want, maybe we can throw it to a break. Take a little bit of a break ourselves.
Sam, is that you telling us you need a break?
No, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
We'll throw it to a break. Everyone in the comments, we'll come back right as the second half starts. If you can just let us know what you think we're going to see in the second half, what tactical changes, what subs you think we're going to be able to make, and we'll start with that as the second half starts.
Let's do it. We'll be back here shortly on Tried and True, the Decision Day Watch Party. Welcome back to Tried and True, the DC United Decision Day watch party. It just doesn't flow quite as well as what I'm used to saying. It's catching me every time.
And we don't have a sponsor for this one.
We do not. If you're interested, still got a whole half really to get in and transfer funds, and we'll say what you want. Tried and True DCU@gmail.com is the way to get a hold of us.
Which we're not checking live during the game.
No, we certainly wouldn't see that until later. Well, guys, this is going pretty much how we need it to go thus far.
Oh my goodness! I'm looking at Sorga's pregame.
Wow,
He
yeah,
looks
that
like
was
an Easter bunny from the '90s.
either that or like the Impact or what is it, Inter Miami mascot.
Right.
But yeah, John.
Hi, everyone.
It's
Yeah.
gone great so far for DCU. A little tension there as they equalized Montreal,
Yep.
but we got another set piece and another set piece goal.
Yeah, so just some reminders to everyone joining. Thank you so much for joining. If you're new at halftime, welcome. Just a couple highlights to hit is that we are not streaming the game. We don't have the rights to do that, so if you came here looking for that, apologies. But we are watching it live and enjoying reading your comments and chatting back and forth and just talking about the game. Another important thing to note is that we didn't do this on Zoom or any platform where we could have people join in on video, just because streams are frequently just a couple seconds off, and that can be pretty frustrating when the other people are cheering and, you're still at a throw-in or something like that. So we decided to work with this platform, and the last one is that streams are off, but also it takes a little bit of time for us to broadcast through YouTube. It just is a couple second delay, so we're likely pretty far behind.
Yeah, so the good news for you as
Yeah.
the viewer is that you shouldn't get spoiler alerts from us.
Yep, yeah, even if our streams are exactly the same, we're likely reacting a couple seconds later, but definitely let us know.
Oh, here's a big chance already. Oh, come on, Ola.
Have a shot.
What were you doing with that?
He's laying off the Gressel.
Who was miles away?
God, he is so bad.
Okay.
Are you shitting on Gressel for that one? Or-
No.
No,
Mara.
that was
Good grief.
I don't know. He's
in there. That's a shot.
that was such a weak pass.
It was a weak. Yeah, it wasn't
was
even the
blocked.
worst
I mean,
idea. It wasn't a good pass.
credit to the defender for covering that down.
You could
fairly
see it
well.
wasn't going anywhere from the pass, though. It was like
But
a little
I don't know why he didn't
baby
just
toe
at least
poke.
hit it and have something on it. Yeah, he had time to at least test the keeper,
Good tackle by Flores.
That's a frustrating.
especially
second
coming
half.
out of halftime. First ball at him, like why not?
Nice. All right, so prime example, we probably reacted to that several seconds after you all reacted to that.
But we welcome all y'all's reactions too in
Yes,
the comments.
let
please.
us know. I think just for everyone's, information, I think as things stand right now, DC United, the live table is in 10th, which is a playoff spot. I am in a group chat with James from DC United Kingdom. It's a Twitter chat. You're more than welcome to join. Just ask him. But he commented that as things stand right now, we would be playing New England, and John got
Give it to me.
very excited.
I am
about
so
that.
tired of
I thought
losing
you
to
were
that
being
team.
sarcastic
Nope,
at
I want it
first,
so
too.
bad. Look, at some point, there's just like, math and odds and all that stuff comes into play. It's like you can't beat the same team so many times. Now we drew against them a couple times this year, or we haven't won.
Yeah, and that last one was rather heartbreaking to have it go in that fashion.
Yeah.
We owe them one in the worst way. So if that's
I mean, other potential options, again, not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but you could potentially be playing the Red Bulls, who are, right in that 6-7 area. And that's basically the two options for that window. If somehow we ended up in 9th, which I'm not sure we're able to do, you could end up playing
I think
Nashville.
we can. We were in 9th. I think if New York City wins, we were in
No.
9th at
Yeah,
one
I think
point.
if Miami
you need
lose.
Miami to lose.
Yeah.
and
okay.
they're still up 2-0.
I could have sworn we were sitting in 9th at one point when they showed the live
Yes,
table.
before Miami scored.
Oh, okay. Thank
Well,
you.
and the other thing is the team broadcast did have it flipped. They appeared to be going off of.
Gotcha.
I don't know what they were
Something
going off
else.
of. We don't have any of those tiebreakers against Miami, but at one point they definitely had Miami or they had us in 9th and Miami in 10th, and I'm like, that's not how this works.
Yeah, so there is a lovely graphic that DC United put out. They tweeted out a little while ago. We retweeted it from the show account. It's a lot of different situations going on. We're not going to read through every one of them because it gets a little bit confusing. Encourage you all to go take a look at that, but essentially DC United must win. against Montreal. We've been here before, right? This season, we
Yeah.
must win. And then have a couple other
scored this
things
time,
go
huh?
our way, which are going our way. We have scored this time. We've scored twice, 3 times really.
Columbus has scored a second goal in the Atlanta game. That's,
That's
good
what
for
we need.
TC.
Very good for us.
I remain frustrated with what I'm seeing out of New York City here, though. They seem to have lost all control of this game.
Yeah, I need them to turn it around.
I mean, this is a team that tied DC United despite not letting us have a single shot.
Yeah, but then he turned around and buried us, and that was basically the final nail in the Olsen coffin.
Yeah, kind of crazy that we've come that far from 2 4-0, 4-1 defeats in
Yeah.
a week to potentially being in a playoff spot.
Yeah, the fact that we're having this conversation is amazing. I'm not loving the anxiety that's pulsing through my body right now, but it's it's a much better place to be in than Cincy right now, who are already out.
Our friends in England call it squeaky bum time.
Goodness.
And I think that's the case for most Eastern Conference teams that are sitting on this bubble right now. Is
That's-
lots of anxiety.
That's the second time you've used that this show, and
Yeah.
let's hope it's the last.
2 times too many.
And obviously with the caveats about expanded playoffs this year and what have you, but it is cool to have a situation like we've got right now, 5 teams vying for 2 spots.
Yeah.
You wouldn't necessarily have that if the table was cut down to the normal 7 teams in the playoffs. So
That's what
Yeah.
Decision Day is all about. And
That's a good layoff. Not
yeah, I
enough on
saw
it,
it a
though.
little cheeky. It's worth
That's all right.
mentioning.
Yamil followed up.
It's worth
Sorry,
mentioning
that's
that Montreal continues to flop. They
Yeah.
had a lot of dives. That was a good ball.
Here comes
Ooh,
Gressel.
Big shot.
Oh.
That was a shot.
Yeah, that
Yeah, the
was.
second one wasn't bad either.
Yeah, he was trying to get across. Kamara was just behind, but he was making that far post run initially. I like that build up.
Ooh.
Oh,
That's
him
a
and
good
Kamara
idea.
just not on the same page there.
That
Yeah,
one.
that was the right idea, though.
And you can't blame Kamara for
Oh, yeah.
trying
Hey,
to get that back.
Flores.
That's a good play by Flores.
Oh, I don't know that Sorga needed to
Sorga.
shoot that ball, but
So good.
We've seen that a couple times today where players going forward in that 20-yard range or so just go ahead and have a go. And you wonder if that's something that
Oh.
Chad's intentionally told them, is saying, hey, we've got to take shots to score.
yeah,
Yamil, we commented on the first half, having a lot of opportunities like that. Gressel, same kind of mindset. If you've got an opening, take a shot rather than lay it off to death.
yeah.
Oh, what's happened here? Once
There are
again, we're
replays
showing too many
today.
replays during live action.
And we are on the dcunited.com/stream, right?
Yeah, this is the local feed.
I'm sure. I mean, people. I know we have a lot of people who listen in who live elsewhere, and you might be watching ESPN, which is showing something different.
It's my dog trying to get his thoughts in here.
But it seems like we have not seen every replay we wanted to see, and then
Ooh, goal for Atlanta.
oh, that's not great for us. It's all right though. Columbus still up by 1.
There's so much to watch.
I know. So many things to be anxious about.
Yeah, to give you all a little visual here, John's got 5 TVs set up, and I think that's our max in this room. You could potentially drag one more. if
Yeah,
you
it'd be
needed
pretty
to.
hard
I don't know
to.
where you'd fit it, honestly.
At some point, the screen real estate does run out, but
Yeah. We've got 4 of them on soccer on MLS Decision Day today. The games that affect DC United.
and I
All
think all of us would rather be in the stadium watching the game, but it is
Oh,
kind of nice
absolutely.
to have an opportunity to keep track of everything going on.
Yeah. As opposed to us in the stands all having questionable cell service with different games on. Yeah.
You mean you wouldn't be using the Wi-Fi?
But yeah, so the games that are affecting DC United's path to playoffs are Chicago, New York City, which is currently tied at 3-3, which is moderately fine. We'd love for New York City to win that game. Columbus, Atlanta. Columbus is currently up 2-1, which we love. Columbus needs to win that game. And then the last game is Miami, Chicago, which we don't love. Miami's up 2. I don't know, Chicago has had a whole lot of great chances, but
Boy, that was a well-taken corner by NYCFC from the back of the Bears' end zone. Looks like both of their tall defenders jumped just a second too early, but it was well placed.
Are the Fire trying to build another stadium, or are they basically locked in Soldier Field for the.
From the moderate amount that I've seen of it, is they're pretty locked in on Soldier Field, and that's like a pretty historic move. Like everyone was happy to move back within the city.
Yeah, I mean, Bridgeview is not close to much of anything.
Exactly, and Chicago Fire had a lot of success in Soldier Field. Excuse me, right?
Sure.
The men's national team has played there, right, and had some success. So it's a pretty big soccer space in Chicago.
Yeah, is this the last year for Mapfre? I know they're building one for Columbus as well downtown.
It might.
I think it might be.
Yeah.
I don't.
They may not open at the beginning of next season. They may be
Yeah.
one of those extended road trip kind of things.
Yeah, and I wonder if the virus has caused any delays.
They might be rooting for the later start to 2021.
But from the graphics we've seen from that, it looks like it's going to be a beautiful stadium.
Yeah, it sure does. And I'll tell you, hopefully there's an opportunity in there for them to play one final game at Mapfre, because you talk about historic stadiums in U.S. soccer. That's got to be alone at the top for
that's the first soccer specific stadium in the MLS, and
the Dos Acero games for the men's national team.
Yeah.
That would be hard done by if they couldn't play like a proper finale there. Maybe the men's national team does or something.
Yeah. I had an opportunity to go to the U.S.-Mexico game there last time around, and didn't go our way, although I guess it got us closer to firing Jurgen. But
steps in the right direction.
It's a stadium that's definitely showing its age, but especially considering when it was built back in 97, 98, the fact that it's been there as long as it has and has so much history, it'll be sad to see it go. But of course, see the new stadium coming in with a roof all the way around. We'll see if that actually ends up happening.
Yeah,
How many times did we see that for the
graphics can be deceptive.
The DC United Audi Field? But we've got it done. It's built.
It's a heck of a play by Rust right there.
Joshua, what's going on in the YouTube chat?
People were asking about were there any halftime subs or anything. Nothing from either side, except for Kamara's 5th minute sub. There's been no changes in this game. Everyone is eagerly awaiting the appearance of Paul Arriola, but I don't know. I guess you just put him out there. If you're winning, you put him out there just to get a couple minutes.
I mean, here's what I would say. Paul's a competitor, and if we're at a point in this game where it's still 2-1, and we've made a couple subs and doing what we need to do, and Paul's not at a place where he can immediately contribute, I don't think he's going to be upset that he doesn't get in. But I also don't think he's named in the game day roster. Oh, that's frustrating by Assad if he can't contribute, right? So I think we'll see Paul. I still think we'll see him.
I'm putting in the work today.
3 backs still.
Yeah, we talked a little.
Oh my!
Sorry, Montreal just had a shot. We talked a little bit too in the first half about what subs we expected to see in the second half. Whether or not, obviously, we know Chad Ashton's mentality is really to go for it, and he's gonna continue trying to score, even while winning right now. We're not parking the bus, which is a crazy thing to say about DC United. But, as we get into the 70th, 75th, 80th minute, maybe we do. We are currently playing with 3 in the back, so maybe we do start to sub in a defender or two. And Paul can play that role. He can play an outside back.
Yeah, I think we'd have to, because we're in this 5 in the back, 3 in the back formation right now. He would have to play that right wing back position that Gressel is at, or maybe that would bring on a formation change for DCU. But I think, especially late in the game, if we're up a goal, which we hopefully still will be, you wouldn't want to go away from that defensive solidity. So maybe Arriola for Gressel later in the game.
Yeah, I think it also depends on how the game flow is going. Because I don't want to jinx anything. As of yet, it's been a little bit more for DC United, right? Montreal's had our shots, but I feel like we've been more convincing.
Here's a chance.
Oh, that was a good ball.
Just making that run back post Kamara. I'm looking at you.
Oh, that would have been such a good ball to Assad. That was a really good look by Gressel there.
Kamara, obviously has the goal and, happy to have it. But to me, it seems like he's been just a little bit off of what the other guys are trying to do. these last half hour or so of game time. And it seems like, he's either going in when he's, the guys are playing behind him, or, is waiting back and not getting the ball. It's just not seeming to find him. And we've talked about that before, how sometimes it may be that he needs a lot of time to build into the game. It's kind of a struggle, but obviously he's right now the match-winning hero, so hard to get too upset about it.
You do not need two people making that same run.
Oh! Flores takes the shot.
You knew Flores was taking that
The
shot.
goalkeeper shaking up after that one.
Was he off?
He might have been offside.
No, I think probably like Segura or Kamara were off in the middle there.
Yeah.
Flores was well behind that play.
So another quick behind-the-scenes look on the show here. I need another beer. Does anybody else need one?
I'm good.
Yeah, I think another aspect to Kamara could be that he requires that service. We saw an opportunity where Gressel and him were getting in behind, and Gressel takes a shot. I don't think that was a wrong decision for Gressel to take that shot.
Oh, and we have an FC Cincinnati goal down in Miami.
Yes.
I just switched screens with that game.
That's the other Cincy, but
What's that?
Oh, sorry. I thought, man, I'm all mixed up too. I thought you said FC Dallas for some reason. I don't know.
I don't know either.
Not currently playing or on any of our screens.
Look,
Or relevant in the DC United
conferences are
playoff.
fluid.
They have clinched. But,
We've got a Atlanta United FC. You've got an FC Cincinnati. You've got
that's
NYC
that's the
FC, FC.
Adam John coming on for Atlanta. Looks like they're looking for a little bit more goal.
What an opportunity Charlotte wasted. They could have been Charlotte Athletic. They might have gotten in some trouble with Charlton Athletic, but they could have been.
Charlotte.
No. We can't complain about getting in trouble with Charlton Athletic. When
Wait.
Inter Miami just straight rips off.
I mean, at least their colors aren't like blue and black, but
They have the same logo, color shift.
yeah, I don't know that I don't know that any of that went anywhere. Although I can tell you, Inter Miami Club de Football still does not have a jersey sponsor, which is wild. Maybe the sponsors are waiting until they finally get like a pink jersey, like they should have. And
yeah. We get new away
big
jerseys
switch.
next year.
thank God.
Yeah, we're talking a little bit about that at half. Hopefully they'll be a little bit more adventurous than the white T-shirt. Because on the plus side, it's hard to differentiate that much from the white T-shirt we
No
currently
way.
have, right?
That was a fair tackle.
That's kind of soft. Oh man, I'm so tired of seeing these Impact players rolling around on the ground.
Yeah, man.
Oh, we have a goalie with a hat on in the Miami.
Oh,
Cincy.
in
We do. It's
Miami,
raining
yeah.
buckets down there.
Oh, I don't think I realized it was raining. I was like, what sun is affecting your vision right now, sir?
Oh yeah, no, it is pouring.
Two subs for NYC. Chicago's had a couple of goes early here in the second half. We'd really like that one to stay as it is, or potentially shift.
Yeah, hopefully there's some Impact subs here because I'd like a cushion goal.
Yes.
Impact
Same.
subs for other.
Yes.
Not for the.
We are playing the.
Boy, this is challenging.
Not only are we trying our first opportunity at live commentary, we're doing it for 5 games at once. So
For the record, John and I tried to do live commentary on
For the FIFA tournament, yeah, that's
and
right.
the audio didn't go through.
It was outstanding. I think Sam. I think our effort was. We might have been getting calls from the networks. So
We tried so hard. We were so prepared for that.
And it's so difficult because everything moves so fast on FIFA.
Yes.
Right. Like it's very different than like a normal game
Yeah.
where.
So I feel like right now we're just kind of like chatting. For those of you who don't know, we did a FIFA tournament over the summer. And Joshua was in it. Black. I don't know where you were.
I think I was here.
Yeah, you played.
Okay.
They were both playing that day. You and
were
I had
both
already
playing.
been eliminated.
Okay. I know. I was like, why weren't you commentating also? But I mean, right now we're just kind of chatting about the game, chatting about other games. But John and I were all in, like channeling Dave and Devin, calling this DC United versus DC United FIFA game.
I was definitely commentating because I think at one point I asked y'all if you were cheering for Joshua in the room with us or
That's right.
Kevin,
When they
the,
were playing Kevin,
the player
yeah.
from the team. And I don't think I've still gotten a clear answer from that. Kevin clearly showed us that he is a
Man.
teenager with mad FIFA skills. but
Yeah.
I guess looking back and on the year, that's one of the just most unique things that we managed to pull off this year.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and Kevin went from this kid that we talked about how good he was at FIFA to like that's like a footnote in the season of Kevin Paredes this year, right? I mean, just.
So I think we interviewed. Ooh, Paul with the jersey on.
It does appear that Paul Arriola will be checking in here any moment.
Ooh, look at that little full
What do you
work.
think? Bring him on for Gressel?
That would be the
only
like
thing
for like, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think at some point you do want to see both of them on the field. Like, you've made Paul one of your DPs. You've spent plenty to bring in Gressel. I think you'd like to find a way to get them both out there.
I mean,
This is a great ball.
Oh, that was not what you would do with it though.
Yeah.
Or you take off one of the center midfielders, and you switch to a 4-4-2.
Yeah.
And
Great
Paul
job
plays
by
that.
Pines.
Pines has been playing so well. I think he's
Yeah.
been coming up key. He got turned a little bit on that goal that Montreal scored, but I think
Play can out at one of the backs, outside backs, and put Paul with the other ones.
yeah.
Again, it's worth repeating. Like, the fact that he's back in the same year as having
Oh, unlucky by.
Nice recovery by Russell.
Yeah.
Again, though, like our
Ooh, trying
Man.
to catch the goalkeeper out there.
Yeah.
our defenders have been playing so high up. We only have 3 of them.
Might
which
get
is-
subbed off for his efforts. Well, this has got to be an emotional moment for Paul. I mean,
Yeah.
I know that not everybody probably had a chance to see the documentary, but it's so powerful, and he said this will be right up there, with one of the most emotional games, coming close, but probably not equaling the first game he played after the death of his father, which he talked at length about again in the documentary, and I think at one point he even said, this recovery from tearing an ACL is not the hardest thing he's had to do in his life, and he'd tear 40 ACLs if he could have his dad back, right?
Aw.
And yeah, this is exciting to see him come back, and boy, wouldn't that be just written in the stars if he could get on the scoring sheet
Oh
tonight.
man. That'd be
Yeah,
amazing.
we got the chance to talk to Paul at the Miami game
Mhm.
for DC United last time. Fans were in the stands for DCU, and
And he was the team FIFA player as well. We had him on after that
Yeah,
tournament. That craziness. Sorry to cut you off.
but he was in high spirits back then. It's no wonder that he's really happy to get back, and we know he put a lot of work into it. Hopefully we see him get on here.
Yeah, and I haven't gotten a chance to watch that documentary, but John's just been talking it up
Yeah.
all week long. So
Can't recommend it enough. It is they did a great job with it, and you hear him talking about how at one point he couldn't even get his quadricep to move because the way that
Yeah.
the surgery works and getting your things redone.
yeah,
So for a guy who makes his living on his legs to not even be able to move his leg,
yeah,
to here getting ready to come back in for potentially putting DC United into the playoffs, that's incredible.
Yeah, I did the math a little bit when I was watching, and it was just a couple of weeks. I don't even know if it was 3 full weeks after the surgery that we had him on.
Yeah, 'cause he got injured
after the
during
Miami game.
preseason. I'm sure everyone
Yeah.
knows, but just a reminder.
Orlando.
It's just kind of crazy to to think how quickly.
Yeah, it is absolutely pouring in
Oh,
this
yeah, it
Miami
is.
Cincy game. Hopefully, Cincy can knock one in, a goalkeeper error or something.
It's weird when I look over there a couple times, and the first thing I want to say is like, thank God we're not sitting out there. But you know what? I wouldn't give to sit out there
Yeah.
and watch this team play right now.
Good move here for Montreal.
And well defended by Donovan Pines.
So as it stands, we're sitting about 6 to 8 minutes behind the other games, which is not surprising. Oh, I'll pause for Paul coming
and it'll
on.
be Moses
Or-
Nyman who comes
All right.
off for him.
Wow,
So
we're
we'll
gonna
see what this.
So Paul gonna play at 10?
Oh, Moses is about to fight someone.
Moses chatting, yeah.
I think Moses is trying to take his time going off, and
Oh, gotcha.
the referee's not having
I
it.
think he might want to high five Paul.
Oh.
That would.
So yeah, as Paul's making his approach, we're about 6 to 8 minutes behind the other games, which have all held steady this half. Still going in DC United's favor. So we'll know the end of those games before DC United's game ends, and we'll know exactly what DC United needs to do to close out the game. I mean, which is win, regardless. I don't know why I said it like that. DC United needs to win.
We'll know
either way.
exactly our situation.
Yeah.
Whether it's
Yeah.
a consolation win or if it's a win that puts us, into playing another week.
Yeah, puts a little different pressure on it. Again, though, Chad Ashton was very clear that they're not looking at the scores during the game, during halftime. He said that during his preseason or his pregame press conference.
Yeah, MLS has put out the playoff schedule. We don't know specific
Ooh,
brackets.
Kamara.
For Kamara to do something. Oh,
He just got on the wrong side of that player,
oh
man.
man, it
It's
was
good
almost
defense.
disaster in Chicago. Abby's not pleased that the 7-0 Steelers are losing to the Cowboys, which are basically fielding a middle school football team at this point. They got so many injuries. That's a great move by Flores.
Yeah.
Kamara should be in position to score right here.
He's
We're gonna get
on the
us-
back post.
Oh, too much
wow.
by Flores.
Paul.
Oh!
He was too excited. You could see when he tried to
Yeah.
settle that ball. He just felt it.
Oh, he's
look at that
laughing
smile.
now.
That would've been his
So
one.
good to get a touch.
His third touch of the
I
game.
know.
Oh man.
1,
You can
2.
see as he's
Yeah.
he's
No.
like, I'm shooting this. Oh man,
He thought he was on the machine again, testing his leg and put everything into it.
guys,
Well,
it's so good to see him back in this position.
Well, and you
He
love to
wins
see
the
him
corner.
going in and challenging in that kind of situation. Like you always wonder about guys coming back from injury, like how they're going to handle that first contact, the first
Yeah,
real
you're right.
challenge. And he was not shying away from that at all. He's there to get the ball and put it in the back of the net if he can. So, again, so great to see him back out there.
I thought Bill was going to use his hand on that
Yeah, I
one.
did too.
It's a really good decision by Hamid to come out so far.
Claudia just
Yeah.
tweeted, it's been 266 days since the last time that Paul
Wow.
played in an actual game.
Wow.
Which, again, considering the injuries,
Yeah.
remarkable.
And New York City have scored.
Yes.
It's 4-3. Oh man. Takes a little bit of pressure off, but there's still a lot of time left. Oh, and what a garbage goal to give up, unfortunately.
We'll
Fortunately
take
for
it.
us,
Yeah,
but
we'll take it.
yeah, Michael, I think back on that stat you gave about how long it's been. You and I were on a ski trip, I think, when the news dropped that that it was officially an ACL and he was out for the season. And phew, man, obviously none of us knew what this season was going to look like at that time, but my heart certainly sank as Flores can't keep that one in play.
Yeah, that looked out.
I thought that was for sure the end of the year real early.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, yeah.
it's just such a critical player he is. And, I mean, somehow he's going to miss, 2 national team caps, and that's because they took only European players.
Yeah,
So, I guess if there's ever a time to go through a major injury,
right.
Paul got a little bit of a break there, but we're so happy to see him back.
Yeah, and to get some game time here, here potentially another, dare I say, playoff game. That's a great look if you start talking about national team prospects moving forward and how that qualifying is going to go.
Yeah. And they still got, what is that new competition we play in now? The CONCACAF Nations League? And at some point,
yes,
they've got to
yes.
finish that out.
I mean, I guess
Must-see TV.
technically they do have to finish that out.
I'll tell you, though, I am so excited for those games this week, and I haven't said that in a long time about the national team, but
Oh, those are this week.
those,
Yeah.
Oh, man.
we're approaching the
It
international
is
break.
November.
Yeah, we've got an international window. I think before one of the shots in here, I was talking about MLS has put out the playoff schedule. I think it begins 2 Fridays from now.
Yeah.
And we don't know where anyone will be playing or necessarily who's in it. But be an interesting prospect. Go through the middle of December for MLS Cup.
Good read.
All single elimination.
Oh,
Can't keep it in either. Neither sideline doing favors for DC United right now.
yeah. apparently lost the score and timer in the New York City game.
Which is unfortunate because
Yeah.
We'd really like to know.
I kind of watched it go out, and I thought there was just like
yeah,
going
I
to
thought that was a
replay.
graphics package.
Yeah.
Or something.
I saw it like fizzle out, and it was like,
I was like, that's kind of cool.
what's that movie I'm thinking of where it's all blurry a lot?
Good tackle there.
I got
on the
nothing.
replay.
Lost that joke fell flat.
Mute your mic.
Wouldn't be the first time.
Mute your mic.
Cloverfield is what I was going for. Oh, here's another chance for City.
Ooh.
Oh, and that's not what we needed.
Shoot.
It's a tough moment, with 15 minutes here plus whatever
Wow.
established time you get.
Every other result going their way right now. DC United have got to get it done on the field, and this is, oh man.
Off a deflection too, right?
Let's see.
No.
It looks like it just went through. That ball never should have gotten through there.
Yeah. That's really unfortunate.
Wow.
Well,
Buckle up.
So got, about 15 minutes plus stoppage time.
here we go. Love to see Paul.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be poetic?
And with that, DC United dropped from 10th to 13th as it stands right now.
I'm going to update the score.
I guess we have to.
If we just keep it.
A reminder that, I'm sure you all are very aware, nothing else matters in the other games if DC United doesn't manage to get the win here. That's just not going to be enough to get out with a draw. So they're going to have to go for it. They're going to have to get some goals here.
And they know it, and they've got that mentality. A lot of games this season have felt very do or die. We're pushing forward right now, so let's see what this team can do and if we can get it back. And, if we do make the playoffs, every game going forward would then be a do or die. So
That's right.
That's a good idea.
Oh, that ball sneaks through there.
Oh.
Oh, man.
It's a lateral on that.
Oh, no.
Looks like we're in the 80th minute in Chicago.
Oh, and it was very nearly an equalizer there for Chicago. Jordi Reyna will check in.
I think this is a good sub.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah,
it.
I like this too.
And that's all 3 windows.
Yep.
So no Paredes today, no Yao. Nyman with the start.
Oh, no. Pines is in trouble here.
Pines.
Oh, man. I thought that was
going-
bouncing back in.
Yeah, the angles for the television camera do not give us a lot of favors on balls like that.
It's got to be a foul against Montreal.
I think it hits Yordi's arm on the way out. God, this is good ball.
Yeah. Pines was just caught out a little bit there. Columbus with a shot right at the keeper. Brad Guzan's there.
Probably expect a few more moments like that. DC United need to get a goal here, so they will probably be the aggressors, be a little bit more open
pushing
at the back.
forward.
Yeah.
I think we need to
It looks
still play relaxed, though, right? We can't get really anxious or try to force balls that aren't there. We've had a lot of opportunities like this one, perhaps right here, maybe just passing it up the field. Like we've had a lot of opportunities going forward. We've had a lot of shots. We've had a lot of build-up. So I think that we just kind of continue to play our game plan, perhaps with a little bit more urgency. But I don't think it's out of the question that DC United gets another goal right now.
Yeah, and having used those 3 windows, it looks like we're pretty much going to be in this 3 at the back, or 3 or 5, however you want to
Yeah.
phrase it.
I think Ariel is shifted to the left here.
Yeah.
I was trying to nail down a position for him when he first came on. It looked like he was switching with Gressel between that center mid and right wing, but he's definitely on the left side now.
Yeah, I agree with you, Sam. You don't need to push too much on it, but
You got 12 minutes to.
dare I mention the Cincinnati game last year where you kept going forward, and somehow didn't find the back of the net.
It's impressive work by Bill Hamid to grab that ball over Donovan Pine's head, because Donovan Pine's head
Especially,
is
yeah.
very high in the air to begin with.
Oh,
That's not
he already
what we
showed. So that's a good
Good
tackle.
tackle.
That's what you love to see by Paul. Again, Black, you mentioned like wondering how if he'd be iffy or hesitant to get into those tackles, but he just made an excellent slide tackle.
Yeah, I think it's very clear that he's back and ready to play.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know why Russell Canals is the one dribbling right there, but
I know. I thought that too.
Yeah.
Was he the one on the sideline?
Again, maybe not 90 minutes fit, but those are the kind of recovery runs that we're used to seeing from Paul, and it's so great to have him back out there doing them. Not wild about the fact that the ball was so far off to begin with to play to him, but shot coming here.
Yeah. Ooh.
oh,
Oh, Paul.
a little too much juice for Paul
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
And if you think he's not thinking about that every time the ball comes to him in a position like that, that's definitely not the case. He's definitely.
That was dipping pretty good. It wasn't off by as much as
That
you
was
guys
also
think.
a really good shot for a first touch. He did not take a touch on that ball. He just, which also, shouts to Reyna for a pretty good
Montreal
pass.
Yeah.
Connor here. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be interested to see if Montreal starts shutting down a bit.
They are currently in 10th because of the results elsewhere. I guess unless Miami concede again, there's no possibility for anything to shake up.
For Montreal, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, again, we have to win. This their second window?
Yeah, because I think their keeper was able to stay on.
Yeah.
All right. Well, assuming DC United gets this goal around MLS, it's still all going in our favor. New York City's winning. Columbus is winning.
Most importantly, we have a scoring bug back in the Chicago New York City game that we could look
both
at.
by one. Yeah. Yeah, just the Cincy Miami game not going our way, but because the other games are going our way, that matters a little bit less.
Yeah, it makes you think back to the MLS's back tournament where you had everything in your hands and
Yep.
you just got to get a win.
We've improved
the
greatly since
impact
that
then, too.
tournament.
Oh,
though.
we have,
it has
yeah.
to be said that like this feels very different than that game.
Well, and that's actually what Fred said midweek.
Yep.
Was that DC United have improved dramatically in a very different team, but so are Montreal. It's just kind of a sick twist of fate that we play them again here in this
I
must-win
know.
situation. But realistically, probably about 10 minutes of time to go
Yeah.
here. Montreal line up for another goal kick, or sorry, another corner kick rather.
What is happening here in the Atlanta game? Franco Escobar just fought someone on the sideline.
He has never been a
Cool head.
calm, cool,
Yeah.
and collected player out there.
It looks like the coaching staffs are going at it now a little bit, and a lot of players coming over.
You don't often see an MLS game get terminated.
We just had a red card issued to Miami.
Oh
It's
wow.
the second yellow on Reyes.
Could be helpful, although there's not a whole lot of time there. And Escobar, I think, is out of contract, or coming toward the end of his contract in Atlanta. It'll be interesting to see what they do there, if that's the last time they see him on the field.
It's a frustrating stretch for DC United here, defending well, but they need to possess and they need to create opportunities here.
Yeah.
And we really haven't.
It's like Atlanta received a red too. That might have been what Escobar was. Chatting about.
He was definitely sent
he was
off.
the one sent off.
I don't understand how Flores is on the ground here.
It looks like he was fouled.
Yeah.
I get it.
There's a chance for Gressel to play long ball in.
Yeah, I'd rather. That's it. Yeah, I'd rather set this kick up, move it down the field, than try to play it quick.
Like, you think back to his ball across the field in the Atlanta game. He's certainly capable of playing it in, but probably the better decision to lay it off there and continue to build up.
Yeah, I mean, there's building up and there's playing it quick, like, because your adrenaline's up and then you lose it.
Oof.
Pines gets it on target, but not
he
enough
does.
behind it. And goalkeeper collects it easily.
We're into 3 minutes of added time in Chicago.
Again,
Yes, Paul.
that result is good for us right now.
That's what we like to see.
Higuain in the Miami game.
Bless you.
Pippa or Pepita? Just a frustrating lack of possession right now for the black and red.
Not sure I'm wild about that ball from Pines there.
Yeah.
It's been frantic in possession here.
Yeah, they need to relax a little bit, and it's you almost wish you could bring on another sub just to like change the mood a little bit, change the tone. You bring in a guy like Paredes or something.
Easier said than done, though.
Sure.
I don't know that Paredes is the one who's calming things down.
Well, that'll work out though.
I mean, this would be the time that you'd like to see Pippa. Honestly.
Yeah.
Like, this would be the time where having a veteran guy like that give you 10 minutes. I don't know who I'd pull off to do it. The team has moved in a different direction since then.
There's 2 balls on the field right now.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Well, let's put one of them back in the net.
Okay.
We're not even trying to play one of them off.
Well, play wasn't stopped. I don't.
Yeah, I don't know why the referee's letting
This
play
is
continue.
wild.
Very interesting, yeah.
We're into 4 minutes of added time in Miami.
Is that VARable?
I don't know.
So.
Part of the build-up?
Oh, that's
Oh, that's a foul.
Oh wow!
Play on.
Makeup call to get.
Wow. Oh, this is trouble, but that's a bad ball.
Looks like we're final in Atlanta.
All right, yeah, we
Can put an E by their name, right? Yeah.
we can. Little tempers flaring in Chicago here as that game approaches final, and as we said, coming in, we said at the end of the first half with 8 minutes of added time in the first half, we are set up to be the final game in the early window in the Eastern Conference decision day. And that'll do it. Montreal are going to advance, and wow. That's undeserved for DC United.
I mean, we have had games this year where we scored 2 goals in stoppage time. The Toronto game comes to mind.
Yeah.
So, certainly a uphill climb from here. Definitely onside. I don't know if that's 3 at the back being punished or.
I think Pines needed to pick him up.
What is brilliant?
Yeah, sad. I don't think that's on Donovan as much as it's on Fred to close him down. He's in front.
I mean, because he's in front, though, like, he saw him there, but Pines sees that Brian's not picking him up. So he needed to shift over and do so.
Or
There
maybe
were no
Brian
other
gets
runners.
the ball. Like, it's tough there. I think, clearly a defensive breakdown. They need to figure out how they're going to do that.
Wow.
So now we're hoping for a big number from the stoppage time. And
Yeah, and I just don't know that we'll get it.
Yeah, we need 2 here in stoppage time. For all you Sams out there that never give up.
Yeah, I mean, I was not the one who just said that we've done this before, so.
That was a compliment.
Here's Paul creating some space and having a go. He'll go down.
so we are final in
And-
New York. So
They'll
we're
call a foul against DC United there.
Unsure
Yeah.
how.
We're final in Chicago and in Columbus. We are frozen in.
And it does look like we have gone final in Miami. I just switched that over
Yeah.
around to
It's really unfortunate that Montreal came into this game thinking that we're going to flop real light.
Yeah, and they
they're
seem
not
to-
a team that's really known to do that.
They've won almost every one. I don't know how that's a foul on DC United. I don't see it.
But yeah, they've been falling pretty light, and we're talking about it right going into the second half about whether or not the referees were going to acknowledge that and talk about it and look out for it. And I think it was more apparent in the first half, to be fair, but
4 minutes of added time is all we'll get.
Oh no. Ariola rolling around the field.
Oh no.
That's the bad leg too.
oh my
that's a
God,
red.
that's a red card. He came in
That's a
studs
straight red.
up.
Studs up to the knee. Not even.
That's a straight red.
That's
It's
a
not,
red and like a 5-game fine.
Yeah, I mean,
penalty.
he did immediately have his hands up. I think
It does
was,
not matter.
Well,
You do not come into tackles like that.
But I don't think it's an extensive suspension. I think it's definitely
I don't
a
think
red.
you can come in with your
That's
cleats
a few
up like
games
that.
for me. Yeah.
I would not be surprised to see that get an extra game or two.
I
I'm
also wouldn't be
surprised we're not
surprised
at
if they
VAR.
don't even look at VAR here because that's how this is going. Oh, we
he's
are
at-
going to look at
He's
VAR.
at the board.
So we can confirm
Hey.
VAR does work.
He's got to be off here.
This should be a pretty quick look.
I will say, isn't ACL one of those ones where you come back stronger, right? The surgery strengthens those ligaments more so than their natural.
Yes, the replacement they use, again, in a completely non-medical opinion.
Yeah.
Generally.
We obviously don't know, the details of Paulo Arriola's
But
body,
but
but
by the same token, you hate to see that for a guy who's already
yeah, it's
know,
scary. Yeah.
coming back in first time back.
And he is
Goodbye.
off.
That's the right decision.
Adios, friend.
I think
Yeah.
they are out of subs as well, so Piet's not a...
I think they were just lining up for subs.
Oh, were they?
Yeah, I think they had one more window.
Yeah, they've got one more.
Another news around the league, it looks like Philadelphia Union have just won the Supporters Shield, hugs and celebrations. I don't
do not
actually
need to
see
this again.
the shield, but congrats to them on a good season. They've definitely turned their program around.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's. I'm fine with it. I'm not. There's no complaints about a team like Philadelphia, who's been one of the more consistent performers all year, played well at MLS is back. They earned it.
Yeah.
Conversations about the Shield in general,
Did you send a tweet out?
I did not. I should probably announce that we're going to do a show, huh?
All right.
Could these be the last 2 minutes of the Chad Ashton era?
Yeah, you've got to have.
I think this is called squeaky bum time. I'm not sure.
Oh,
No,
So
I
it's
think
called
we've
stinky
already
bum
ruined
time.
that. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen,
This is
in the
Montreal's
93rd
squeaky
minute,
bum
a
time.
yellow card has been awarded to Joshua Morgan for excessive squeaky bum time.
Oh, good build-up play.
Oh.
That
little too
was,
much.
I think,
I
what he
mean-
meant to do, actually.
We need 2 goals here. I would still love to see Paulage get one solid crack.
Oh,
Can
Brianna.
Fred get one?
Oh,
Moreno.
remains goalless for DC United.
Good Lord.
Do not. Saad did not rip it, so that's progress.
But got the injury in the corner there for.
Clear him out.
Is that Briant hurt in the corner?
Yeah.
Ref's got some game management to do here.
Well, we haven't seen it for the first 94 minutes. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think the officiating has meaningfully impacted how this game is going.
I think there was a potential red card shout in the first half that obviously would have changed this game around.
I think
Ouch.
Brilliant beats him to the ball here. That could be a pen.
Do you think so?
It could be.
I don't know that we'll see VAR again.
I think he's lucky not to have snapped something. That type of tackle.
So right now it's Montreal and Miami in the playoffs. Very much just a question of this result. Whoever, if it's a tie, it's Montreal. If DC United somehow managed to score 2 goals in the next,
Not a lot of time, yeah.
we should have some additional time though with the red card review and this injury here.
Yeah, maybe another minute.
Can I edit the title?
Oh,
that was a good idea.
Was a good ball.
Oh.
Oh,
no.
man.
Do you know what, though? I appreciate the composure. We're still building up. We're still passing it when easily we would have just, ripped shots into the stands.
Yeah, trying to find that ball across.
Oh, Moreno outruns it.
It's quite possible that the game has ended and we're living in the past.
Yeah, we're at 96 right now.
Shocking. Montreal player down.
Oh, weird.
Well, for those of you guys who've joined us for the watch party, we really appreciate it. We appreciate your support throughout the season. We are going to keep this feed up. We'll probably go blank for a few minutes as we prep for our usual post-game show. And if you want to stick around and join us there, we'd love for you to do so. Otherwise, we will be out in the podcast form hopefully in just a couple hours. We expect to hear from Chad Ashton as usual, and we'll see if we get a chance to talk to Paul Arriola about his return tonight.
Yeah, and I think we'll be doing a couple of shows during the off season.
Yeah.
Yet to be determined what those are going to be like. If this is indeed the end of the season for DC United, which is looking pretty bleak right now, then we'll certainly be staying up on things and still coming at you. So stay tuned.
It's going to be a busy off season, one way or another. Oh, Kamara just a step behind.
And that should be it.
A microcosm of DC United's season. All right, friends. Well, thanks for hanging out with us. Like I said, we'll fade here for a few minutes, and we'll be right back with post-game coverage. This has been Tried and True, the Decision Day sad party.
Oh.
We are live on Tried and True, the DC United postgame podcast presented by Heineken. And, look.
That's more energy than I thought you were going to bring. So.
Well, I was excited. we just got off the watch party, and thank our listeners for joining and hanging out with that. And it was so weird every time I said it, right? It was like the post-game watch party. It didn't flow, right?
Yeah,
so I was excited to just hit the mark again. But the season's over, guys. DC United fall 3-2 at home to the Montreal Impact. Another must-win game against the Impact. It doesn't go the way it should have, and here we are. We're live. John Lee joined as always. The whole crew's here this week. Sam Kastner, Joshua Morgan, Michael Black. As we welcome you in, and it looks like any moment now we'll be hearing from Chad Ashton in the post-game press conference, and Michael's dialed into that to let us know when. But guys, how we feeling? It's over.
No. Sad.
I'm surprisingly more positive than I thought I'd be at this point. Obviously it's disappointing not to be moving forward, but we saw, a lot of good things happen today. You had a lot of hope for most of the game. You saw Paul make his return, which is huge.
So exciting.
I don't think that can be overstated. It sucks not to have any more games this year, but I think if we're honest, we weren't really thinking that this was a team that was going to make a run at the Cup. I'd prefer certainly to be in a position to play for it, but all told, we're in a better spot now than we were a month ago. So nowhere to go but up, right?
Yeah, that's the big takeaway for me. I don't have the same gloom that I had mid-season when we were just not scoring goals and not winning games. This is the second game in a row DC United has had a lead and then lost it, unfortunately, and I think that's why they missed the playoffs. Unfortunately, it kind of hurts, but. We all saw this coming. The uptick at the end of the season was a bright spot for me.
We're all looking at Sam. Sam's our eternal optimist on the show, as you guys know. And Sam, I hate to break it to you, but 538 just pushed out an update, and we have a 0% chance of making them.
Yeah, I think I'm the most heartbroken of the group right now, and I think that's because I was the most sure we're gonna make playoffs. I think it hurts, especially something sweet that every game went the way that we needed them to.
Yeah.
The Miami game didn't, but that one ended up not mattering because the other two did. And the fact that we were winning for so much, and then we just weren't able to kind of see it out, which is really unfortunate. I'll echo what you guys said, that the fact that we're even in this situation at this point in the season is super great. Love that we weren't Cincy today, right? They had already been eliminated, so the fact that we had something to play for was great. Like Joshua said, the ball was basically in our court. We just couldn't see it over the line, which is really sad. I think I'm going to be sad, and then I'll let myself be sad. And then after the post game, I think we're probably going to talk a little bit about like what to see next season, and I will be freshly optimistic for that part of it. Don't you worry. But today, right now, I'm just sad.
I'm with you, Sam. I mean, I think what's frustrating. Actually, it looks like we're ready to go to Chad Ashton, so you'll hear my thoughts in a moment.
We'll go to Steve Goff first. Steve, go ahead, buddy.
Hey, Chad. What you had the lead late going. How do you think the game unfolded in those last 15, 20 minutes?
I think we needed to punish them when we were up 2-1. They were getting super open. We were starting to get opportunities. I thought we could have punished them on a couple counterattacks, and we didn't quite execute a little foot here and then when there were times we probably should have kept the ball and been a little more patient and made them defend for longer periods of time. But they were obviously starting to open up, knowing that they had to go for a goal. And at the end of the day, we didn't punish them.
We'll go back to Steve.
Chad, looking not just at the drama of this last game, trying to get into the playoffs and finish strong, are you able to reflect now on the last couple of weeks and what this team has gone through down the stretch?
Yeah, it's obviously heartbreaking. We've been decimated by injuries all year, and I give the group such great credit for showing such character to hang in there and find a way to get us to today. I mean, you have that many injuries. I don't care what team it is in the league. It's difficult, and it's going to be a struggle. And it was a struggle at times. Even today, we lose a guy in the first 3 minutes of the game is just, the narrative of the entire year. But again, the guys roll up their sleeves and say, let's go. Even this week, we were dealing with 2-3 different guys having issues and trying to figure out a lineup. And, even our starting lineup, you could see there's no natural outside back in the lineup. It's tough. It's tough to go into games with guys playing out of position, but nobody ever complained one time. They continue to work, continue to do everything they could to try and get a result. And unfortunately, we just came up a little short. I think on a normal night, you would have been making real defensive subs and trying to lock it up. And we just didn't have a lot of personnel to go that way. The way we needed to protect the lead was to score the goal. But the group is going to be fine moving forward. It shows great character. It's the building blocks of a foundation that creates culture. And these guys are still in the process of creating that culture. But I believe the group took a lot of steps towards creating that.
We'll go to Emily Olson. Emily.
Chad, one of the players you got back from the injury list was Paul Arriola tonight. When he came in, he had a chance on one of his first 2 touches. He had that chance there at the end. What did you see from his performance? Did you expect him to go as hard as he did? And what does this mean for a player like him?
It's just the first step for him. So, he's got a lot on his table as far as moving forward, but it was so great to see him out there again. Again, he was back in such a record amount of time, so quick at getting back and being 100%. And again, you just see what he brings to the table. Immediately, he injects energy into the group. Immediately, he injects his personality to the game, and you see him create chances and bring a lot to the table for the group. But it's tough now that he only got back for the one game, and but he's a great player, and he's going to help this club a ton moving forward.
Chad, there's no more questions, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's DC United's interim head coach, Chad Ashton, and I mean, it could be the last time we speak to him, post game, because he's only in an interim basis, and as we all know, DC United have some big decisions to make in the offseason, and number one on that list is who's going to lead this franchise going forward, in the skipper role. Paul Arriola will be joining us here in just a few moments. I can't tell you how excited I am to hear from him. And if we know Paul, he's going to be gutted. He's going to be disappointed and probably not want to talk a whole lot about him. He's going to want to talk about the team and how they didn't, get a chance to.
Although knowing our friends in media, they're going to ask him a lot about what coming back meant to him.
You should tell him to watch the documentary. And if you haven't yet, I mentioned it a bunch on the watch party, but you should definitely check out the work the team put in to the Paul documentary about coming back from the ACL. I know this is a tough spot, and you probably don't want to go deep on more DC United content right now, but it's a fantastic take. It's only about 20 minutes long, and Paul's one of my favorite players, and it was just so fun to see him get through and get back out there tonight.
Yeah, and you saw a little bit of that. They did a quick post-game interview with him on the field afterwards, and I think you saw exactly the attitude that you'd expect from a competitor like Paul to say, hey, it's great to get back out there, but our goal here was to win, and we didn't do it. We didn't do what we needed to do to make the playoffs. So anything else aside, it's not a good result. But I'll just echo that it's so great to have him back out there. We've said it over and over, but the fact that he managed to make it back at all this year is remarkable. It really speaks to his work ethic, and it's exciting to see him coming back next year. You saw flashes of it in the 20, 30 minutes he got today, and we know that by the time we get back out there, whether it's March, April, whatever it is next season, that Paul's going to be out there leading the team.
Yeah, and you could see like how excited he was. You could see very specific times when he was like collecting the ball in the box, and I think people not watching the soccer game had that feeling like Paul Arriola is about to take a shot on goal, right? Like you could just see with every part of him, he's like, I am striking this ball, which was great, especially right after the first one, right? It kind of zoomed in on him. You could tell he was frustrated, and then he kind of laughed a little bit. Like I'm sure the moment of just feeling all those feelings again.
And we'll send it to Paul now.
Yeah.
Paul, welcome back to active duty. I was wondering if you could describe two sets of emotions. One, just coming back from your injury after such a long layoff, and then also the emotions of this match and the season coming to an end the way it did.
Yeah, first off, this is my plan was to return as quick as possible to help the team, and I give a lot of credit to the training staff and medical staff and myself as well for working as hard as we all have to be able to put me in a position like today. It was extremely important for me to be available to help the team. I thought I was very confident in the team and today. Unfortunate that we couldn't get the result, but it's mixed feelings. Obviously it's great to be back, but at the same time it probably hurts even harder than usual, just because I work so hard and you kind of hold on to that hope of we making the playoffs, and so for us not to be able to do that is obviously disappointing. And obviously now we wait until next year, but for me it was definitely a bittersweet day and moment on the field.
Thanks, Paul. We'll go to Jason Anderson. Jason, go ahead.
Hi, Paul. Thanks for speaking with us. Congrats on getting back on the field. There seemed to be no real hesitation from you as far as going into tackles or anything, including that last one with Piet. How did you feel overall as far as just the soccer side of things?
Yeah, I felt good. I the reality is that I've been training for quite a while, and trying to continually push myself and like I said, the training staff. I feel like I've been ready for a while now, and obviously have to listen to the staff, and they know better than I do on timing. And obviously it's nice that Piet decided to hit me like that and kind of get the first one out of the way, because obviously my leg survived and I was able to get up and kind of move on. But I when I go on the field, I just try and help the team. Obviously I felt active and was able to create a few different things, but ultimately I think the fitness for me was a little bit of a factor. But yeah, it was again, I'll say it's a really bittersweet moment to be able to share what I shared on the field with my teammates today.
We'll go to Jose Umania. Jose, go ahead.
Hey, Paul. First, welcome back to the field. Secondly, I wanted to get your reaction to seeing your teammates and how they reacted to the loss and seeing them hit the ground and very upset and emotional. You've been watching from afar. How does it feel to watch your teammates and give it all they had in those dying minutes to try and get a result to get in the playoffs?
Yeah, it hurts. It really does. The reality is it's hard to go 2 years with the same personnel on a professional team. So for us, it was obviously how can we enjoy the moment and understand that this could be it for us. But I'm extremely proud of the team and the way that we were able to get all the way to decision day. And obviously with the other results, if we would have won, we would have been in the playoff spot. So extremely proud of them, and I was hoping to be able to tell everyone to stop talking bad on us just because of the amount of bad press that we've got this year about how we're such a horrible team and all the things that have happened. And I was really looking forward to pretty much shutting people up and showing them that we're here for real. But that's the way it is. We had a good game, and obviously the tie in the end 2-2 kind of forces us to really go after it. But again, I'm super proud of every single guy in the locker room. And a month ago, we were definitely not in the position that we had ourselves in at the start of today. So definitely proud of every single one.
We'll go to Steve Goff. Steve.
Paul, take us through that moment around the 80th minute when I think Reyna pushed it out wide to you on the left, top of the box, and you curled it. It was close. What was going through your mind as that play unfolded and as the ball travels towards the target?
Yeah, I think right away I kind of knew that I leaned back a little bit. Just thinking it over, I probably could have just passed it to the far corner, but in the moment it's difficult to stay on top of it yet still get some power. And I think it was a bummer. I think that one and the one in the very beginning where it gets blocked. Those are chances that I think in the future I definitely are able to put away that I put away in the past. But I think ultimately it was there are plays that could change the game, and I think that I definitely could have done that, and if I did do that, the game looks a little bit different. So disappointed with that, but at the same time being out for 9 months, it's hard to reenact situations like that. So definitely all you can do is train and hope for the best and focus on getting better.
Paul, we'll do one more question. We'll go to Emily Olson.
Paul, congrats on getting back to the field. This is, like you said, a moment that you've been trying to get towards and since the beginning. Have you had any chance now that you've done this and the season's over to figure out, for you training wise or what's next as far as continuing your journey back?
Yeah, I'm not, I'm not quite sure. And I obviously don't want to say too much, but I think right now I've worked so hard for the past months to get to where I am and to kind of finally be back and not be so rehab oriented. And now I think I just have to take a couple of weeks and kind of keep to myself and relax a little bit, unwind. And I'm sure that the staff and the training staff, medical staff, and I will definitely get on the same page and kind of figure out where to go to next.
Paul, thanks for your time, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, that's DC United's Paul Arriola joining us post-game for the first time this season after he made a return tonight that, he looked good, but I'll tell you, he didn't mince words there in the post-game press conference. He wanted to win this game, and we talked about it when he re-signed a contract earlier this year, but this dude bleeds black and red, and he was not happy about some of the press that this team was getting this year. And I don't know if that was just on the field stuff or if that was some of the broader stuff, but I guess when you're a player that's out and they can't be part of the team and be at practice every day, they probably consume a lot of content. And Paul had a pulse on how the media felt about the team.
Oh, yeah, and we even talked about, right, when he re-signed, how we were a little bit shocked. I think we were definitely more on the positive side of things for DC United, but it was still a little shocking, right? You have this men's national team player who is sticking around with DC United, who is at the bottom of the table, and it looked pretty doom and gloom for the team at the time. And we were even saying that it was pretty shocking for him to sign another 3-year deal. Obviously, it was great for the team to kind of take that chance on him coming back in full form, but also just shocking a little bit from him to sign a deal that long. Like maybe he gets back into form and wants to continue his career elsewhere. He's still a relatively young player. But you're right, he absolutely bleeds black and red, and it's so refreshing to kind of hear it from him. And I felt it when he was talking about how he just wanted to be able to kind of shut everyone in the media up and kind of prove that this is a really good team. And I think that they're well on the way to doing that. I think a lot of, chatter that's been going around Twitter and everything like that has been a lot more positive, and I think that people are excited. At least I won't talk for everyone. I'm excited for next season, right? I think we're in a really good place to move forward into next season, much better than we were a month ago.
it's got to be frustrating as a player, especially a player as competitive as Paul is, to be there and not have an opportunity to impact things on the field. Certainly for all indications are he is a leader in the locker room and helping guys in all those other intangible ways. But you're a player, you want to get out there, you want to be able to impact a game and get your team back where you believe they ought to be. So to have him have the opportunity to get out there today and really show that is such a huge opportunity. But I think you're right. It had to be just extraordinarily frustrating to be sitting there knowing that you're better than things are. And I do think that that perception of the team may change a bit. You look at the run of the last few weeks, folks who watch a lot of MLS. Unfortunately, we haven't been on a lot of national games. It's hard to change a perception on a team without actually getting watched, because if you were to just sit down and say, oh, look, DC United lost their last 2 games of the season and blew a chance to make the playoffs, there's certainly a narrative there. But I don't think that's necessarily fair for where this team was, especially, 60th minute when you're up 2-1 and looking really great to keep the season going.
Yeah, it still stings a bit. I mean, it's just to think of how, looking back at tonight's game, I mean, we were in pole position for so much of the night,
From pretty early on. Yeah, it's not a situation where we were really, obviously we were all pretty stressed out, but it was looking our way pretty early.
Yeah. I mean, you got an early goal. Pines put the ball back in the net, the 9th minute?
Yep.
Yeah, and then we got scored on, and then we came right back, and we scored pretty relatively quickly again to be leading, and especially all the other games went our way pretty quickly, right? We really felt like this was going our way for most of the night, and it was kind of an end of the night dagger. I was joking with my friend who texted me yesterday and kind of asked, like, I'm thinking about becoming a DC United fan. What do I need to know? And I was like, oh, here we go, man. And he texted me at the conclusion of today, and he said, I think I've been inducted. I was like, yep, ending it at the end, right at the last minute like that is pretty DC United. Again, a lot to look forward to, but just we were in that position, and it's so unfortunate that we let it drop at the last minute. And along that thought, something that Chad had said was that we didn't take advantage of our opportunities, right? We didn't punish Montreal. We had so many chances to go up more goals than we did. And I think that's really indicative of a team that hasn't been in that position all season, right? We went through so many games of not having any chance to score on goal, or like one shot that everyone knew was never going to go in, right? It really takes practice to score. You got to know how to do that as a team. So the fact that our recent run of form has been very recent, we were still kind of learning how to close games out and how to win them, and that's something you typically do at the beginning of the season. Obviously, the coaching change so late into the season really altered the trajectory of this team, but I think had that coaching situation happened a little bit earlier, then we would have just been more used to knowing how to finish out those chances.
And not only that, right, but how often is the same group of players deployed in the same formation with the same tactics been on the field for this DC United team? And we complain about Benny Ball as a tactic, right? And I think we saw in the second half of the season that this team can be and was more successful not doing just that every game. But along the lines of learning to score, it's nice to have the same players out there with you, in the same positions, not necessarily every week, same formation, same 11, right? But there's just so many parts that are interchangeable because so many players weren't, you couldn't bench this guy, right? I mean, who on this team this season could was a must start? I don't know that anybody was.
Well, Bill, if he was available.
I mean, yes, but there were a couple games when he was available and Seitz had the hot hand, if you will, and they kept him in.
Had some pretty good games, yeah.
I think he's the one that comes to mind for sure. But
it's
obviously
still a little bit of an argument.
I just want to take your point that there wasn't anybody who was going out there and saying, I have to be out there every week because I give the team the best chance to win. If anybody gets Bill, but even then, Seitz did fill in admirably in a number of circumstances.
I think we're gonna spend an entire episode kind of looking back on this season and talking about rosters, so I don't want to go super deep on that tonight, but the one thing I was going to say at the beginning of the show before that, it's normally Sam getting cut off by the press conference. This is like one of the first times I got cut off. But what I was going to say was, to me, one of the nice things about this back half of the season, besides the fact that we won some games and it was fun to watch again, we learned so much about this team. You know, when we were at that inflection point right before Olsen got fired, I didn't know how to evaluate some of these players, you know, because everybody was bad. The whole team was bad, right? And I think what we saw in these last few weeks is we actually got to see some players look very good in certain roles and positions, and we saw some other players that, you know, probably shouldn't come back next year, or, you know, depending on you know, what the contract situation is, and we'll get into all the details on that in the future.
Really looking forward to you calling out names for back.
Yeah, I definitely I've got some thoughts, and I think some of them will surprise you guys. Joshua, you've been quiet for a minute. What's on your mind?
I'm just trying to, like you said, I'm trying not to go into full off-season mode right now. I'm trying to think about the game that we just watched. I thought DC United looked pretty good, and for a while there, I was very optimistic about their chances of making the playoffs. I came into this game expecting not that. I expected DC United to not make it. They're looking at their entire season, they haven't played well. And tonight they got 2 set-piece goals in the first half, really good. I mean, no one can mark Donovan Pines from across, so that's going in. And then
he knows it now, too, right, with the celebration.
He was so confident. Yeah, he knew.
And then we let one back, but then another set-piece. Kamara gets his head on this one, and it goes in. I don't know. It kind of leaves me feeling empty because we didn't see that run of play goal tonight, and
frankly, probably should have.
Yeah, I think that's a little harsh. We had a lot of really big run of play moments, and this is going back to, like, we just got a little bit too excited. And I don't know, I was talking when we were live during the game about how, like, we had a lot of composure in the build up, and we had a lot of you know, even at the very end, we were very calm. We were still making those passes. We didn't have people from shooting from 80 yards out, right? Like, we were still building up and putting in those crosses and everyone was setting their teammates up for success, but we just didn't have that, like, know-how to really, like, finish that opportunity, right? And that's, again, a lot of things that you see at the beginning part of the season. You figure that out in preseason, and then games into the season, you figure out what that buildup is going to be, and then that next step is really finishing those games off. And we just didn't have the know-how of how to do it today, but I think that we easily could have, right? There's more than one chance that I can look at and say, like, oh, that could have and probably should have been in the back of the net for the black and red, and then we're in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think it was 20 shots, 7 on goal. That's significantly more than we've had some games this year. It's disappointing not to come away with more from it, but you know.
Yeah, I'm just bit. You were up for 43 minutes of this game.
Yeah.
One goal puts it away, right? 3-1, you can bunker from there. And I'm glad they didn't bunker at 2-1 because I think that we would have made the same result. But I think you got to put one away. And
you're right.
I totally agree with you, Joshua. And I think they got a little bit thrown off just in terms of, you know, Rivas has to come out in the 3rd minute, right? And then that's one substitution window that's gone. And I guess what was surprising to me in terms of using substitutions, but not so much surprising to me in terms of just how the game was going, but no changes at halftime. I mean, that was your free window, right? So if you wanted to make a change, you could have. They didn't. And it's not like they gave up a goal right away. You know, it just, that was one that's like, oh, man, okay, so now we've only got 2 windows left. And then...
No, I don't know if I have a problem with not making a change at halftime. You're up 2-1. You're playing well. You're expecting to use one of your subs in the second half for Paul. You brought in Reyna late.
Yeah.
You were forced into using one of your windows early with the Rivas injury. I don't have a problem with not changing what's working for you at halftime.
Yeah.
I think more than anything, I was just surprised that, you know, because you didn't use a window at halftime, the 2 windows you had left, you only did 1 sub at a time, you know. And, like, I think the Paul sub, was it 2? Was it still 2-1 when Paul came on? I was just looking at it.
I think so.
Paul came on in the 69th minute, and they conceded the equalizer in the 74th. So yeah, and then it was 3 minutes after that Reyna came on.
Well, who would you have brought on off the bench?
I think Mora. He was a late add.
And that was where I was going, right?
Okay.
Is I would have brought on Mora, and I think that was probably in line of, like, you go to a 4-man back line, you can do a little bit more bunkering. You don't necessarily have to put 11 dudes behind the ball, right? But you could do a little more in the 4-man back line. I was surprised not to see Joe come on, and I do wonder if he's just still a little not 100% fit.
You were also talking about Paredes and Yao while we were watching the game. You want to comment on that?
Yeah. I mean, I think at one point, and it was right after they gave up the equalizer, we just couldn't possess, and we for a long period of time, and it was frustrating because I still felt like we had a goal coming. Paul had a couple shots that when they did possess, they were making positive things happen, but it was a stretch where Montreal had the most possession, I think, of the game for themselves right there. And, I just think of if you had somebody come on who could possess a little bit and maybe change things up. And for me, that probably was Kevin Paredes. Now, I obviously, you don't look at Kevin yet in his career as that, mature guy that everybody leans on to come in and take over a game. I'm not saying that so much as just a change of pace kind of guy, right?
Yeah, I don't know who you would have pulled off for him, though. I mean,
yeah,
maybe a Julian Gressel, but I think this was one of the first opportunities, especially getting Paul out there, where you had all of the weapons that you really made an effort to go out there and get. You had Assad on the field, you had Gressel, you had Areola, you had all of these guys. You had Flores, who you made a huge deal about bringing in. You had all of them out there in your crunch time. Those are the guys that you expect to lean on. I mean, I would have been happy to see a Kevin or a Yao, but I don't know if I would have said that, yes, one of those other guys has to come off to get them on there.
Yeah, I think we got to take it and look at it a little objectively, right? Because I think they were given, and we talked about this prior in the season, I think they were given more time under the Ben Olsen era than they would have gotten. And we saw that play out, right? Like, they definitely got less minutes with Chad Ashton. I was surprised to see Moses Nyman get the start today. I don't know if everyone just wanted to see Paul, right? But everyone was like, Paul's back, he's starting. But Moses actually got that start, and I thought it was interesting. So I'd agree. While everyone knows I love Kevin Paredes, and I would have loved to have seen him come on this field and kind of make an impact, I think it's not surprising that we didn't look to our teenagers to really make a difference.
Yeah, Paredes actually, Richard was saying Paredes wasn't available today.
How did I miss that?
Yeah, I missed that too.
I'll take his word for it. I didn't look at the bench really, but this is what's going to happen next year. We were in a weird time where we had a bunch of injuries and a flailing coach, to put it, I think, kindly. So they were getting minutes. We were just trying things, and Paul's back, and I think Paul is that would have gone to Griffin or someone. That's the attacking sub. And if it's not Paul, because Paul is starting, whoever he replaces in the 11 is going to be taking those minutes. So it's going to, like I said before, I think it's going to be a real, I hope it's a selling point or a demand, a requirement for DC United, for the coach that comes in to have a plan for these guys, to have some sort of development plan, because it's going to be tough. And you're going to have to make some decisions about when to play them and when not to. I think the decisions tonight were all right.
Yeah, so thank you to, looks like Angus Long. He's saying for Paredes, Goff reported that it was an injury, and the rumor was that it was his hip flexor.
Yeah, and that's what Richard's saying in YouTube as well. So thanks, guys, for keeping us honest there. We're live here on Tried and True, the DC United postgame podcast presented by Heineken. It's our final postgame podcast of the year, but of course we'll be back at you guys in not too long as we go through a few off-season episodes, roster breakdown, looking ahead to next season, kind of a recap of this year. And at some point, we'll probably have to do a show on a few moments' notice when DC United make a decision about who's going to be the head coach starting in 2021. But if you'd like to join the show, you can always do so by calling us at 202-892-6328. That's 202-892-6328. And by now, you guys know YouTube chat's open. Texts are open, DMs are open, Twitter chat's open.
Yeah.
Get in touch with us.
On that note, I'd like to point out that we just made it through our first season. for the pod, right?
Yeah.
Thank you so much to everyone who's been listening and commenting and helping us along, right? If we'd gone several games in and nobody was listening, we probably would have not done it anymore, right? So thank you all for keeping us going. We've loved to talk to people that we wouldn't have met otherwise, especially given the pandemic and the fact that we're not able to go watch in person. Just having new DC United friends to kind of commiserate with, honestly, for most of the season has been so great. You know, we drunkenly decided to do a podcast one day and kind of fell backwards into it, but it's been so much fun. I think sometimes more fun than others, but
it's a lot
overall,
more fun when we win games.
Exactly. Overall, I think it's been a great experience, and I'm really thankful to everyone for coming along with us.
Yeah, it's been a tough one too.
Hopefully this is like the tough part and we learned a lot, and then we can just move forward into the MLS Cup.
In retrospect, I would argue that there could not have possibly been a worse year to decide to launch this podcast.
2013 was pretty rough.
Well, at least we would have had games we could
in
go
person,
to, right?
Probably.
And actually, we do have a call coming in here, so let's take that. Hey, you're live on Tried and True. Who are we talking to?
My name is Angus. I was listening to the pod, and I just wanted to talk about the game a little bit and say thank you for always doing the post-game press conferences.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thanks so much for calling and for the shout. What's on your mind about the game tonight?
It's just it really is kind of a gut punch. I think everybody can agree with that.
Yeah.
Seeing the lead cutaway twice now, 2 games in a row, and then dropping that last goal to lose it really does suck. But I don't know.
Yeah.
It feels different. It definitely feels different than where we were, a month ago, as you guys were saying. That idea that we can actually build from this. There's just something different.
Yeah, I completely agree. I was thinking about it when the final whistle blew, that this isn't the hardest game we've had to do a post-game show for. There were definitely times where we were like, oh man, we got to talk about this? That's crazy. But you're right. It definitely feels more hopeful, and it's almost a good thing that we got to do this kind of within a season. The entire season wasn't a wash then. We got to build off of it, and we'll be able to see that happen. We'll see the fruits of our labor in 2021.
So, Angus, what do you want to see the team do moving forward to try to improve going into next year?
Well, for starters, I'd like to see how Felipe plays coming back from his ACL. It's very clear that he, behind the scenes, has been a real uniting force for the players and somebody who's been trying to keep the spirits up in the locker room. So I'd like to see how that translates when he gets fully fit. I'd also like to see what I don't know, Chris can do when he comes back, because that concussion was just really poorly timed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sure was.
And I think that seeing him coming off the wing would be really interesting. I'm not so sure about Fisher. I think that's kind of a hot take. I know that we all kind of wanted Fisher to come back after his knee, I guess, exploded is the best term, 2 years ago. And with Chris kind of stepping into his role, it's going to be really interesting to see how that, I guess, battle plays out throughout the offseason and into the preseason next year.
Yeah, Fisher's been a guy who's been kind of up and down. That first half of the 2018 season, had some struggles and then really earned a place in the lineup. Then got injured, then came back. That's an interesting take there.
Yeah, but you're right. COA has really been able to kind of solidify a spot, and you're right. It's super unfortunate that he had a concussion. I think if he doesn't, this game potentially goes in a very different direction. He definitely would have brought something to the field tonight.
Yeah, I mean, to me, if he's available and if Joe's available, I mean,
also
you're
Felipe,
probably going
what
four
a
in the
good
back
shout.
line. Yeah, and I've got a great Felipe story to tell here in a few minutes. We'll let Angus finish up. I don't want to take up his time on the call. Angus, anything else you wanted to hit?
No, I'm interested to hear that Felipe jersey. I'm actually wearing my Felipe jersey right now. I got
that's
one
awesome.
of the new 2021. I have to admit, when we first traded for him, signed him, however this league works, it was not necessarily my favorite move.
Yeah.
But
You were not
seeing
alone
the
there.
passion that he brings to the field, it's just different. I was at the Red Bull game where he first came back, where he first started, and just seeing him hyping up the supporters section when we were going over to take a corner. he kind of just has like jumped into the team that I think the fan base kind of had, definitely had some issues with him beforehand.
Yeah, I think that's a common refrain throughout the fan base. Is a lot of us were like, really, we got this dude, this villain is now on our team, right? And now that I know you're such a big Felipe story, I'll tell the story now. So, we obviously cover the midweek press conferences as best we can.
Yeah.
In spite of our normal jobs getting in the way a lot, we try to cover those. And this week, Frederic Briand is being interviewed. They're asking questions, and we just hear this like horrific kind of like scream in the background, right? And we're like, what the hell? And Fred's like just continuing to answer the question, and Zach is usually the kind of moderator of the press conference. He's like, I'm really sorry about that, guys. And so I texted him after time, right? Shout out to Zach Abai and Sam Legg for all the support they've given us this year, on the DC United staff, and was like, all right, guys, this is the content we're really here for as a podcast. What in God's name happened there? Like, right? And apparently Felipe has this running bit where every day he's in the facility, he finds Sam Legg and scares him when he's right in the middle of just like focus on whatever Sam's working on that day. And it happened to be in the middle of a live press conference this week. So little inside story there. And I think that's exactly right. I mean, Felipe is just behind the scenes. He's just one of those guys that like, kind of holds everything together. And so we had a little banter on Twitter this week. Felipe was interacting a bit. I said, we got to get him on the show. I want to hear the top 10 moments where he scared Sam. And he was like, sure, I'm in. And he's like, I also have a habit of scaring Claudia Pagan, the sideline reporter. And she was like, oh no. So I think when we talk about off-season episodes, having Felipe on the show is definitely high on the list.
You mentioned Briand, and that's another question that is going to go into next season, I think, is what do we do with the center backs? Because you have Pines, who is definitely stepping into a huge role, becoming more of that starter. And you have Birnbaum, who I'm assuming will be back from his injury, hopefully by the time next season kicks off. And you have 35-year-old Frederic Briand, who had a fantastic season.
He did,
mind you, and played fantastically through injury. But is that age going to become a liability? Do we keep him as depth? What do we do?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question, and one that we've been asking for several seasons now. So it's crazy that it's not as though we're only playing him because we don't have a lot of depth in that position, which is absolutely true. But I think more often than not, he's really coming up big for this team. So.
Well, and you heard, I don't know if you watched the pregame show, but Dave and Devin were talking pregame that Fred was actually their man of the year for the team, and it's not a bad shout. And a lot of leadership there.
Not a bad shout at all, but it would be note that it is of note that Devin McTavish said Junior Moreno is his player of the year. So I guess that's a little.
That's interesting.
Take that with a grain of salt.
That's interesting.
And it's also interesting. What do we do in the midfield? We talk about Felipe, we talk about Moreno, we talk about Canals, and I know that this is off-season stuff, but it's just interesting questions. What are we going to do with our roster next year? Especially seeing as the team probably won't have a lot of, cash to splash without fans and, without revenue coming in, without an active revenue source.
Yeah, there are a ton of questions that this team has to answer in the offseason. And Angus, thank you so much for the call. We really appreciate you joining. And when we do the roster breakdown show, we'll look forward to hopefully hearing from you again, and we can get your takes on some of the people we want to keep around. And I know I've got a lot of work to do ahead of that show just to get a good understanding of contract situation and age of players and all that stuff. So
and make sure that you're following us on Twitter for when we do that Felipe interview. A lot of times DC United doesn't give us a whole lot of heads up when we get those interviews scheduled, and a lot of that is just because of, especially in the offseason, the player schedule and things like that. But we try to give as much of a heads up as we can, so make sure you're looking out and you're able to join in on that interview.
Oh yeah, I have notifications on. I'll definitely be looking out. Thanks, guys. Thanks for doing all the post-game press conferences. Like, that accessibility in and of itself is something that I don't think the team has really had, other than maybe Goff reporting on it. So being able to listen in has been a great little treat this season. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Hey, thanks so much, Angus. We love to hear that. I mean, that was definitely one of the things that I think drove us to do the show, right?
Yeah.
Was we recognized
We were there.
that-
Yeah.
yeah, right. And we were there, and it was like, hey, I want to hear what these guys say after the game, and you get a few quotes that come through in different articles and things like that. But no, we're really glad to hear that our listeners have enjoyed that. And one of the things we talked a bit about on the watch party earlier, which we did for today's game. We were really close to locking down the ability to actually do highlights with the Dave and Devin call and kind of do video highlights, and that's something that I really think we're going to have next year. We were really
That's
close, and
optimistic. We'll see.
what happened, I'll just be really transparent. I mean, we were close to locking down a deal, and then MLS's back happened, and there was uncertainty about the rest of the season, and so it just kind of fell apart. But I think that would really provide a lot of additional content after the games, in addition to the press conferences. And hey, just being back on site again,
Yeah.
I get chills thinking about it.
Yeah, MLS was super willing to kind of work with us to get us those rights. And then obviously a great thanks to DC United for allowing us to air those post-game press conferences and to really be there and cover the pre-game press conferences and any press conferences that happen in the off season. Probably won't be able to necessarily bring them to you live, but we'll definitely be tweeting out updates. So follow along. I know there have been moments where all of us have missed either the pregame or the postgame for various reasons, and we're following along on Twitter just like you all are. So we'll definitely try to keep bringing that to you.
Yeah, and who knows what format we'll be in next year. Hopefully, we're back in the stadium and able to do in-person interviews. But looking forward to getting back to it. Looking back on tonight and this game, thinking more about it, it's not a bad performance from DC United.
It wasn't at all. You're right.
There were so many times this year where you come out losing a close game like a 1-0 or a 2-0, and you never really thought, this is a game that we can win. And I don't know if I ever had that expectant feeling that, hey, we're going to pull this out those last 10 minutes. A game like the Orlando game a couple years ago, the famous Wade running back and covering it, I had the very strong feeling that we were going to find a way to win that game. Don't know how, just was going to happen. Didn't necessarily have that today, but you still looked at it and said, hey, this is a team that's playing well. They're playing well with each other. It was pretty close to our first choice lineup, except maybe having Steve Birnbaum out there. They put in a good shift, and it's disappointing not to come out with at least a point out of it. You needed 3. That's kind of a factor of the way the rest of the season went. But the fact that you're in that conversation at all really speaks to the way this team has responded over the last month.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I want to say that the impact that Ben Olsen has had on this team throughout the 20 years that he's been a part of the franchise cannot be understated. But I will say that there was a point in the season when you could tell that the players were not enjoying being out there on the field, right? Just to be frank, they did not look like they really believed in the vision of what this team had. You could tell they were frustrated. We saw it come out sometimes in the press conferences that they were just wishing to have something else going for them. And just in the shift with Chad Ashton, and then, whether or not he stays or a new coach comes in, we just saw they were having fun again, right? And they were believing in what they were doing, and they were picking their heads up after being scored on and things like that. So it was, like I said, right? We've had much harder games that we've had to come on for, and we love doing it again. We love talking to everyone, but there were definitely times when we were like, oof, we got to talk about this now. That was barely enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, in the episode where you heard us talking about league formats and values of different tournaments, you can guess how we felt.
There were some rough times, but
we did a live show at across the pond after we got shellacked
12-0
by Philly. It was like, oh my god.
but today it's still worth talking about the game, right? I mean, it's always worth it, but today, we had a lot of those promising moments, and we had a lot of build up, and those goals were really unfortunate, but it's key things that you can look at and fix as a defense, and it's not just, well, the entire team gave up, so what are we going to do now?
Yeah, and one of the things you hit on there was, the shift when you went to Chad Ashton and the team got better and playing and so forth, and I don't think it's completely fair to say that just changing coaches was, a magic shift that made this team significantly better and in a position to make the playoffs. They did finish the season in 13th, which is about where they were when Ben was fired. At that point, Ben had very much tried every different option available to him. Sometimes you have to make a change and just to mix things up and see what else you bring to it. I don't think I have a whole lot of fault with Ben for the way he managed. At that point, it was time to move on, and I think everyone, including Ben, accepted that. The team got better. Hopefully Ben has enjoyed the last half of the season, and I think we'll talk more about that in our end-of-season wrap-up. But I do want to make sure that we're not looking at it as this was a fix just because Ben left.
Yeah.
Kind of dabbling in both. It was just what I want to do. So this is, we've talked about it a couple times. This is the second game in a row where we had a lead and then we lost. And the team has been playing good. I want to acknowledge all that because I'm about to
rip us apart.
The team has been playing better, and I'm very happy with the form. But when the games are in your hand, and if DC United had won these two games, they would be well into the playoffs.
If we had won either of these games, we'd be in the playoffs today.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually just looking right now to see. We finished on 21. We've been on 27 if we won them both. Yeah. We're talking about.
It wouldn't.
Same scenario. I was looking to see if we would have got a home game at least in the playing game.
We wouldn't have had to worry today. We would have we would have 24 points going in today if we had won last week, which is what 10th place is at right now. And as much as Chad Ashton has changed this team for the good, maybe that's a little bit of just the players feeling refreshed. Is Chad Ashton to blame for these late comebacks to teams? I think it's an indictment on him. The team is playing better, but we still lose. And so, 2 games ago, I was thinking maybe we do keep Chad Ashton, but now
Chad Ashton also came into a system that was pretty broken, right? And he was able to flip it around.
He
but these
was
are not
part of that system.
You're right. You're absolutely right. But at the end of the day, it wasn't his call. So he had to come in and flip things halfway through this season, or not more than halfway through the season. Well, more. You have to remember that when he initially came in, we were still playing the Saturday, Wednesday, Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday. That's not time to implement a new system, right? You are just barely hanging on at that point. So he didn't really get a time to revolutionize this team in the way that he might be able to if he is hired and has time with this team in the offseason.
That's one of the things about it, though, is that I don't think that he was coming in saying, we should have been playing this 3 at the back the entire time I've been here over the last 12 years. At some point, you have to look at it and say, he's been part of it.
Well, you know what he's saying in interviews. Yeah. He's not saying that publicly because, he's not going to.
No, for sure.
For the last 10 years, he's not going to come out and publicly trash Ben Olsen and talk about how he was.
You don't have to trash him, but I think if you want the job, you have to distinguish yourself from the past.
But that's not necessarily to the media.
He didn't do that, though.
That's not necessarily to the media when you're sitting in last place.
There is no way that you stay as the top assistant coach to a guy for 12 years if you guys aren't at least fairly well aligned on what the team.
You're right, but that doesn't mean you don't have your own opinions.
Sure.
So I think one of the things I just took a step back to think about. I mean, Joshua, you're so good on this show about being critical of the team, which is something that I'm not as capable of until I'm really emotionally either detached or I'm just super upset because something went terrible.
Super drunk.
Or that.
Thanks, John.
Right. And
all the above.
And it's obviously not fun when we're in a really dark place, but I think the team is in a good position. Well, yeah. Now and
remember,
it's a really insightful question, right? Here's what I would argue though, and this is where my head went immediately, which is I think different from you guys. What I might have actually done today, up 2-1, is I might have rolled out Benny Ball.
Yeah.
And I would have said, I would have said, F it. This team knows how to play Benny Ball. It
not
might be ugly. Not
successfully this season, though.
Well, they never had the lead. And they had the lead today.
We also didn't tie every game, though. We lost every game.
Well, but they didn't have the lead
Benny Ball was
ever.
not successful this season. It was very successful last season, but we also had Steven. We also had Felipe, right? We weren't playing with Knaus in the center defensive role, right? You had all these other key players that made Benny Ball successful. So just saying, screw it, let's play the system right now, that wouldn't have been successful.
So successful Benny Ball,
you're right,
for this
season
relative.
Might be
a little bit. Yeah. I do think that there was a change in the mentality as far as Ben very much did not want to give up goals. Ben was very much of a, well, we'll defend first, and then if we get a goal, hopefully that's enough. 2, then we should be golden because we're not going to give up a lot of goals. And the team in the last month or so has shifted under Ashton to saying, hey, let's go forward, let's try to score. If they beat us coming the other way, and a lot of times they didn't, then we'll deal with it when it happens, but we're going to go forward and we're going to try to score goals. I think to some extent it was more of a mindset of, well, we don't have much to lose. We're already in last. We might as well go after it. And it was successful. And I hope that
which worked for us, though. And that's how other teams have won this entire league, right?
Sure.
It's like, well, you might as well go after it. So
Sure.
I don't see anything wrong with that.
So I don't know that then back to Joshua's original question, then I don't know if you guys are okay with that, then I don't think Chad Ashton lost these last 2 games. I think Chad came in and said, we're gonna definitely not play Benny ball. We're gonna push forward, and as a result, we're gonna concede some goals. And I think the point I'm trying to make is you can't play Benny ball for the whole 90 minutes, as you said, Sam, right? We wouldn't have been in position to win this game. But you played Ashton ball for the first half. You got a lead, and you probably could have rolled out Benny ball, and you might not have lost the game. And I obviously we needed to win.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting dynamic. But I guess I couldn't shake after this game. We didn't deserve to lose. We probably did deserve to not make the playoffs.
Overall, I think we deserve to win tonight. Overall, you're right.
I don't even know if I could say we deserve to win tonight.
I think the last 15 minutes is when it all came undone. And like we have said, we've had,
back
but
to Joshua's
separately,
point.
we had other chances and we had times to put this game away, right? So
sure, but
that doesn't mean that we didn't deserve to get the 3 points.
We had all 3 points. And Chad Ashton, look, I'm not trying to bury this guy, but he made 3 subs. Did he sub on a defensive player? I don't think so.
No, but what defensive players does he have right now? They're all injured.
He's got Joseph Moore, who's probably one of the best left backs in the league. He has O'Neal.
We don't
you guys know my
how
love
he's
affair
doing
with
right
Moore.
now, though. He was a last minute ad. We don't know if he really could have come in.
Well, hold on. We
don't
do
think
know
Fisher's the
he
answer.
could have came on. If he's on the game day roster.
You're right,
he
but
coulda
there's
came
a
on.
different feel. Like, we don't know what the behind the scenes
My
are.
hot take for the game, I wouldn't have put Paul Ariel on the field. I don't think he was the right sub for the moment. I know it's feel good.
I actually agree with you.
It's feel good. It's everything, but I don't know what he added to the game that we didn't already have.
So I would argue also that Chad Ashton has not had the say in who our transfers are or how we work these players or who we bring
now you're
up.
investing years into a coach.
I'm just saying you can't.
Who was part of a 10-year
I'm just saying that
failure.
like these last couple games show you a little bit of show you a little bit of what he can do, right? But like the conversations that he's having in his interviews are very different from what we're seeing on the field, right? He could have completely different tactics, and he says, if you get me this type of player and this type of player, I'm going to revolutionize the way this team plays. And I couldn't do that now because I don't have those type of key players.
So,
but go ahead, Mike.
I hesitate to call it a 10-year failure. You did win an Open Cup in there. You were first in the conference in another year.
Joshua's going to leave. He's going to walk out of the studio.
Calling it a 10-year failure is perhaps a bit too far for me. I do think that, we have the benefit of hindsight saying, hey, if you just hold on to that lead, you're fine. And I do think there's something very valid to saying, hey, maybe you don't bring Paul on, maybe you shift and play it more defensively and,
You're right.
and you finish it off. That's fine. I do think that you got dealt a really rough hand with Rivas having to go off in the first 3 minutes.
Absolutely.
Having to burn one of your windows. There's only so many opportunities.
Kamara scored, though.
There's only so many opportunities that coach has to impact a game. You can change the information. You can bring players on. You can give instructions. But at the end of the day, this is not a football game where you're calling plays and putting people in exactly the position you want them to be in. You have limited opportunities. And if you say that one of our big things is getting Paul back out there, because Paul had a couple opportunities where if he had cracked it just a little bit better, possibly finding a goal or two.
That's what I'm saying.
And putting this away. I don't think that, again, we can look back on it and say that Paul did not win the game for us, didn't put it away, didn't do whatever. Maybe you should have gone more defensive. I don't have a problem, though, with bringing him on.
I think if this game were to happen mid-season, we'd be less critical about what the result was.
Yeah, but it happened after a season where we played 23 games and we only won 5. So that, if you want to take it out of the context,
What's your point?
I don't think that works. It's been a bad season.
Yes.
You can't just say, oh, just because there was heightened pressures. The whole season has been bad. That's why it's in this sort of situation.
No, but I'm just saying, right? I think we all acknowledge that this team did not deserve to be in the playoffs. So you can't be arguing that, like, you can't say we shouldn't have been in the plaffs and then also say that this was a bad game because it's the game that didn't put us in the playoffs.
I think you should win every game.
I don't think so.
I think you should win every
game. I
game.
think that's unfair.
Today was a bad game. You can say that.
It was not a bad game. It was a good game. It was a really unfortunate loss.
It was not a bad game. It was a bad result.
Yeah,
it was
absolutely.
a bad result, but also I don't think the four of us, I know the four of us aren't on the same page in terms of how we should have handled that second half.
Yeah, I think you should win every single game you're leading in the 70th minute.
Absolutely.
Totally fair.
I would take.
We're having some technical difficulties. Someone is trying to call in, and I can't seem to pick it up here.
It might be Angus. He's mad at you guys for saying that it was not a failure. He put in the chat 38% win percentage and multiple last place season.
I never said that this season was a success. That's not what I'm saying.
In defense of Chad Ashton, he was.
I'm also not necessarily defending Chad Ashton. I'm saying that if he gets hired next season, we all need to give him a chance and almost like ignore these.
Here
games
we go. We finally have the call coming in. So, somebody's gonna help take us off this ledge. You're on Tried and True. Who are we talking to?
My name's Richard.
Hey, Richard.
Hey, first I wanted to call in and say thank you for all of the shows this year. It actually made this season so much better to listen to you guys talk about the games, and I really appreciate all the time and energy you guys put into this show. So wanted to thank you for that.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Love to hear it.
When your discussion right now about Chad Ashton and did he lose these last two games, I wanted to put in that I think part of it was that he was having to scramble with roster because of just how shallow the bench was and all for this whole season. That I mean, Paredes as a left wing last week. This week, Canales is a center back, which the first game in Atlanta it worked, but after that wasn't really. Yeah. He's just not. He's not as aware. Back there.
Absolutely.
I mean, that first goal they gave up, he was ball watching and let a guy come through. So I think part of it was that this roster had gone as far as it could, and that any coach was going to have trouble sustaining any kind of success with it, just because there's so many pieces that don't really complement each other, and so they were always having to kind of mix and match.
That's a really good point. I feel like that's a really good middle ground you just brought us back to, and I mean, I agree with what you just said.
And I think Chad made that point a little bit in the post-game press conference, was talking about the number of injuries this team has dealt with, and it has been a challenge. You saw that tonight with, as we said, limiting the opportunities he had to make subs. They definitely had an uphill battle to do this year, and I think that's one of the reasons I'm very positive coming out of this game.
I'm having trouble hearing you guys, so I'm going to go, but I just wanted to, again, thank you very much for it. I look forward to listening to you guys next year and hopefully seeing you guys at some live events when fans can come back. So, thanks.
Yeah, thanks so much, Richard, for the call. We really appreciate it. Sorry we're having a little technical issues there. So, one, just to address that, we can't wait to meet so many of you guys in person. It's coming. I promise it's coming.
And I know we have a lot of people who are not from DC, right? They're from other markets, and
we'll be able to travel again.
Exactly.
To away
this is
games.
a group that travels to away games pretty frequently. I travel for work pretty frequently, right? Like, we're super excited to meet you all when it's safe.
I
to
miss
do
away
so.
days so much.
Right. Brian has already commented. See you guys in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, I guess I just want to put a point on is it a point on the point I was trying to make? Anyways, all I was saying was, so I think overall to your question, no, I don't think Ashton's to blame for these two losses. However, I do think I would have personally handled it differently today, and I think I would have I would have leaned into that Benny Ball grit that this team has inside. You got that 2-1 lead. I would have brought on Mora, or even if Mora couldn't go for 45, you could have brought on Fish. You probably bring him on for Nyman, who was the first sub to come out.
Yeah.
You go to a 4-man back line. You bounce Canals out to right back, which is probably still not where we want to see him, but better than center mid, and you can at least be a little bit more defensive and play Benny Ball. Does that win and get us in the playoffs? I don't know. It didn't happen, right? But
I think I'm with you. If we had been up 3-1, I think that, again, with your limits, and
And Ashton might have done it too, right? Because he said we just needed to punish him.
And let's be real. Like moving forward, we're not expecting to have 5 subs again. In future seasons, we're expecting to go back to the traditional 3. But it's very hard once you say, "Hey, it's time to shut this game down. We're going to go to a Benny ball situation. God forbid you give up another goal there." Then you have to change back out of that into going forward. I think the major takeaway from that is that you really needed that 3rd goal to try to really create the separation and make it a very obvious decision point, instead of saying, "Hey, it's 2-1. Do we shut it down now? Do we wait?" We talked a little bit about it on the watch party. Was at what point do you say, "All right, time to pack up. Let's get out of here with this result"? I don't think any of us thought that getting out with 2-1 was going to be enough.
Oh, I completely agree. I'm really glad you said that. Yeah, because if we do get into Benny ball, which by the way is like what lost this team, right? So by switching halfway through and telling the team to suddenly adapt back into that, I don't think they would have liked
Benny
that.
ball made the playoffs a lot.
Okay, we're talking about this season though. And this season,
you
this
go
team.
10 years of failure and then
I know, right? What are you doing? This team hated Benny ball this season.
But
we
this
all
team-
saw it. We all just agreed that we saw that.
But this team's also smart enough to know that Benny ball can be effective,
So,
and we
but
never led this year, which is why
it doesn't
you can't
matter
play it for a
because
full 90.
two blacks point, just being up 1 goal. If they then get a sneaker in there and then we're 2-2, this team doesn't know how to come back
still
and
got
then
3
win that
subs
game
left.
again.
Why can't you make another change?
Well, what?
2
obviously
subs.
it depends on when that sub comes in. Yeah, it obviously depends on when that sub comes
So-
in.
so-
I think
so-
Paul was always coming on, so it would have been the
he didn't
Reyna
have to.
sub.
And to
He
your point,
was.
And to your point, in the 70th minute, when you brought Paul on, or it was a little bit earlier than that,
Different,
it was
but he
in
always
the
was.
mid-60s. You could have done that. But I'm still focusing on your point of, well, why don't we switch to Benny ball at halftime?
This team hated that.
If you got into the 75th minute, then
I don't care what they like. I want to win.
That's how we lost all these
Doesn't matter.
games, though. They did not like playing
We
that
pay
style.
you money. You play how we tell you. Get out there.
Wow.
I don't care what you
Oh
like.
gosh! All right, so separately,
John has not wrote a single paycheck to the players.
Come on.
notably, yeah. Separately, getting back to, I guess, just kind of Joshua's original question and just talking about Chad Ashton, I wouldn't argue that his reign has been a success or a failure. I think he was able to turn around. I think what Richard said was absolutely right, is that any coach in the entire world would have had a difficult, a handful, 10 games that he had to come in and flip us around from winning, 2 for the entire season, right? Like, every coach is going to struggle with that. So I think the point that I'm trying to make, I'm not throwing my hat in the Chad Ashton ring, right? Like, I would love to see who else is in their final list of coaching contenders, and I'm excited to learn more about that and then be really excited about this in the months to come. I'm just saying that if Chad Ashton is hired, like I said, just kind of have to ignore these games and give him a fresh start, because that's when he's in charge. That's when he's running a preseason. That's when he's having a say in the transfers. That's when
he was doing all that before.
He wasn't.
He was.
No,
But
he wasn't.
He wasn't
It
the main
wasn't his
guy.
call.
I'll give you that.
No, you can tell it wasn't his call because of the flip that he's made since Ben has left. He didn't just
he had a
continue.
mandate to flip it because it didn't go well.
But he did, and he could, and we saw the results, right?
Anybody
he didn't,
could.
Ben,
Right?
Ben
Just don't
couldn't.
do what the
Ben
last guy
couldn't.
did.
Ben couldn't. He didn't, right? And that's why he got fired. So if he were so into the Ben train of thought, they would have brought in Ryan Martin, or they would have brought in someone else to lead this team to the end of the season. The fact that they gave it to Chad shows that he has a little bit of a different take on what Ben Olsen was doing. And we saw that literally on the field.
No. They gave it to Chad because they had no one else. Chad Ashton is the
They
coach
could
of
have
DC
brought in
United right
Ryan.
now.
He was still coaching at Loudon.
Yeah. No, look.
Which one's the priority?
I like to ask these questions about the short term because you guys take it to the long term, which is what I want you to do. But this is not what the show is supposed to be. I think Chad Ashton is the coach of DC United right now because he was the man left standing after Ben left. I think he's done a decent job. I don't know if I'm willing to give him a year. Maybe if none of the other candidates shine. But I'm not convinced.
I'm glad they're interviewing. Right? Like, it seems like regardless, they're going to interview other
Which is
people.
fine. And
Which
that's
is what
not
they
what I'm
should do.
arguing
Yeah.
against. Yeah.
I think he overperformed for the games that he got. Compared to the baseline of what the team was when he took over, they did better. That's hard to disagree with. Now, do you talk about whether this is the solution for the long term? I'm not sold. I want. I stand by what I've said previously on what they're trying to do coaching wise. I want somebody with a consistent vision, who wants to develop talent, who knows how they want to play, and is going to do that game in, game out. I think that Chad Ashton got a kind of a free pass to say, hey, let's go forward. If this team had not responded and gotten the wins down the stretch, but had still lost every game 3-2 instead of the 1-0 or 2-0 games that we were experiencing under the end of the Ben Olsen era, blowing up to 4-0 for the last 2 games, it would have been frustrating. But he had to change something up. I don't think that you work with a guy for 10 years and then all of a sudden say, this entire time I've had a secret ambition to play completely differently.
Yeah, I mean, here's the point I was trying to make, Sam. When you're on a staff, right, and the head coach is fired, you basically know y'all are gone too, right? I mean, that's how the script is written. So
he was
Chad
there before Ben.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah,
but for the last 10 years,
Chad was given a chance to change this season for DC United, and the only thing he could not do was play Benny ball. Right, he had to make a change. That's why Ben was fired. If he rolled out with the same thing, people would have been like, "What on earth?" Right? Like you had to make a change, and so that was what I was saying in terms of like, well, yeah, anybody could have came in and flipped the script on. Okay, we're not going to do that. We're gonna attack more, and if we're gonna lose, we're gonna give up more goals. Turns out the last 2 games, they shipped more goals. They lost the games, but that's the point I'm trying to make. Is like, I don't think that Ashton was revolutionary in any way for this team, but I do think that he deserves credit for taking advantage of the opportunity to change how this team plays and get the players behind him, get everybody on the same page, and damn, they almost made the playoffs.
So should we do man of the match?
Yeah,
I mean,
we're not getting anywhere yet.
We're going to have several opportunities over the far too long off season to talk about these things.
Potentially till April, yeah.
Yeah, but I think for today, at least we can put a bow on this season and talk about performances today.
Who do you got?
Oh, I'm going to completely take the cop out. Paul coming back after. I don't care that he didn't score. I don't care that he didn't make a meaningful impact. I don't care that John and Joshua wouldn't have even put him in the game to begin with. The fact that he got out there, got that moment, and especially more than taking shots, took contact and popped back up and said, "Hey, I'm good to go. I'm ready to play." That kind of performance, it's hard for me, especially in a game that we lost and gave up that many goals. It's hard for me to look anywhere else than Paul.
I'll take it. Look, no disrespect to Paul. Beautiful that he came back. I love the guy. I think he's the heartbeat of this team now. Just hearing him talk about the team and what he's been through and what he's overcome. I love seeing him out there. For me, very easy today. Donovan Pines was playing in a back 3 with a center defensive midfielder, and he did a lot of good work on the defensive side. He had a couple mistakes. I think he did as much as he could on the first goal, but I think he's got a little bit of fault there. But besides that, it's a center back with 3 goals on the season, who is a homegrown player. You have to love that. He's a threat, and honestly, if he keeps playing like this, I could see him getting some attention from Europe and stuff like that. So Donovan Pines for man of the match, and maybe next episode man of the year.
Wow, yeah, we'll talk in detail about that. I'll agree with you today. I think I'm with you with Pines. I think he solidified himself as somebody who just he's so important to the future of this team, and I think he took some big steps this year, and that's a great way to to kind of describe it for tonight's performance, right? I mean, he's out there as one of 2 true defenders in a 3-man back line, and I think he's got more promise on the attacking side as well, not just from headers. I mean, you can see that he wants to do those things, and I'm excited to see it come together. So yeah, for me, goal tonight, Donovan Pines, man of the match. Sam.
Kevin Paredes.
And that's all tonight, folks. Thanks for tuning in. No, I mean, yeah, going third, but I was also going to give it to Donovan. I think the first and third goals he could have done better on, but you can say that about more than one person for having conceded those. And I think he also made a goal line clearance, right? And he had that goal, and he made a lot of key tackles. I just think he's been playing so well, and you can see, we said it, but even in his goal celebration, right, that he's gaining confidence, and he's really feeling himself playing for DC United right now. I was trying to think, right, like he's just my man of the match, but some honorable mentions for today and potentially for the season. I think Assad has been picking it up a lot. I think Flores had a much better game today than he has had, which is really promising for DC United fans because I think we haven't seen of him this season what we wanted to see of him. I think we saw sparks of that today, and looking forward to seeing that next season. What?
Go ahead.
I have no problem with admiring Donovan's performance today. I will just point out that on the 3 goals, the first goal happened because he got bodied up and had the ball played in behind him. The second goal happened because he failed to get out to the ball and clear it with the head. And then the third goal happened because the entire back line failed to shut down a breakaway on the other team. We gave up.
You used the cop out. You picked a man that subbed on and did nothing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Also, I think
a
this
man
is
who
where
did not cost us. I'm not saying that Donovan cost us 3 goals.
No, you literally just did that. No, you actually just did.
I did not say that. I said that Donovan was involved in the defense that conceded the 3 goals.
Okay, so I think right, like this is why we need the highlights. I think that in every single one of those goals you could have pointed to someone else and probably more
I
people.
did live.
Yeah, and say like that person also should have done this, and that person should have done this, and that person should have done this. Also, while we're just talking about, I think Bill Hamid also had a really good game. He made a lot of key saves. He came out a couple times. Yeah, I think he did really well.
Final thoughts on Donovan Pines. He fills the Perry Kitchen 23 hole in my heart. What a nice progression there. Love to see him rocking that number. I'm about
he plays for LA Galaxy. You might as well.
Oh, wow. That might be the next jersey purchase for me, the Donovan Pines.
I thought you meant Perry Kitchen.
That's something we'll have to do. We'll have to wrap up. We'll get Felipe on, and then we'll have to run back the jersey pitches from all the players this season that we've had on.
Oh, Felipe's jersey pitch will be.
Yeah, it's we gotta get. I don't know, man. One of the top.
We need to do that from the team store in case we need.
Right.
And then we all need to go buy our jerseys.
One of the top jersey pitches of the season was actually Pippa, who's now gone.
Oh.
He's just a normal guy.
He's just a normal guy.
You can still probably buy that jersey.
I'm sure they'd sell it to you for like $1,000.
We'll have those clips up at some point.
Yeah.
They're all up. You can go listen to them. Honestly,
I'll make a complication.
I have a little bit of beef with y'all right now because I was looking at some of our analytics, and Kevin Paredes' interview is our least listened to episode, and it's probably one of the most fun. Oh yeah, with the listeners. I love you guys so much, and again, thank you for carrying us throughout the season.
It wouldn't have been news if Sam had a beef with us.
No, I continually have beef with you all.
Sam,
listeners,
are you not partially responsible for the fact that we haven't listened to that episode several times?
No, that's so true.
Listeners, I'm looking directly at you at the camera. Go listen to this interview. It's
everyone
so fun.
Just left the chat.
If you want to know why I love Kevin Paredes so much, like go listen to that. He's so just fun, and he is going to bring so much to this team. He has such a bright future. Later, when you're like done with your hangover from tonight and being sad, like please go listen to that episode because it's so good.
Yeah. We'll take a quick moment before we sign off to shout our friends at Across the Pond. They've been a great partner this season, and I think the promo code podcast is still available for 5% off your order, even though Sam and I failed to use it. On Monday when we were there, we watched one of the critical games in the tried and true group stage in the Premier League. Sam's trying to mute me here, bless you, but I will say,
thank you.
Not only is Leicester City top of the Premier League and top of the Europa group, they're also top of the tried and true group. So I just put that out there.
It's pretty early in the season. I'm
going to
record this and play it back when you're crying at the end.
You're just lucky that you can't fit VAR inside of Leicester because every single time
it's not just VAR, it's mostly penalties we've been awarded this year. I mean, the stat was insane this morning when we were watching how many penalties we've had. And I told you the second half of the season we're going to get like none. It'll come around.
You'll be sad. I'd also like to point out that I believe that tonight was Military Appreciation Night. So
It was.
Yep. Thanks.
And Veterans Day is Wednesday.
Yep. So appreciate that from everybody. Obviously, the team usually does like numbers on the back, and they usually do kind of like a camo warm-up shirt. I don't think they did the pride numbers either, right? Because fans aren't really in the stand.
Well, they were supposed to do a bunch this year.
Well, we also didn't. We didn't play games in June, which is probably
True.
why.
Yeah, I just they really cut back. Those things are obviously a little bit more expensive to produce because they're like limited runs. So obviously, they didn't do a whole lot of those this season, but that doesn't mean we appreciate our military any less.
Any closing thoughts on our final post game show of the season? We'll probably take a couple weeks off, and then we'll come back with some podcasts.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll definitely do a semi-regular some type of schedule in the off season. We tried to come at you every week during the coronavirus hiatus. I don't know if we're gonna do it that frequently, but we'll definitely keep it up. And if you guys have topics you want us to cover and talk to us about, please let us know. We're definitely going to do like a pro rel episode. I think at one point we teased that a lot during coronavirus hiatus and we didn't get to it. So we'll probably do that. Obviously, like with the coaching changes, when the transfer window opens and we're making a lot of transfers, there will be a lot of things to talk about. Go ahead, Joshua. You're
Preparation
excited.
starts now. This is for all of you and all the listeners at home. I'm going to be researching. I'm going to have the coach for DC United to win an MLS Cup. I'm going to have the transfer from Europe, the MLS trade that needs to happen, homegrowns that need to be signed. I'm going to have the plan, the master plan, and I'm going to tell you all why all your plans are wrong.
Well, we're not going to have plans in detail, I can already tell you.
And Joshua will have all of that the last week in March before the season starts.
Yeah.
Kamara will be number one.
Hey,
I'm excited.
If we get 20 goals out of Kamara next year, I'm here for it.
Kamara's going to score 20 goals for FC Cincinnati.
I think,
and that'll be the only 20 goals the team scores.
I will tell you that I think if there's any way to wrap up this season, it's just the fact that we're all laughing and smiling right now and excited for next year.
Aww.
Because man, if let's just say if we kept on the Olsen train for the rest of the season, we kept playing like that, and we were still sitting on like 8 points. I don't know how excited we'd be right now, but I think all of us believe that this team's got a shot to turn it around next year. And
we got to go out to Bobby Wine now, right?
I don't know. We're starting to get copyright claims on YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube's flagging
from
us
the
for
Bobby
that.
Wine song, which I've got the tweet that he said you could use this.
It's
So
not legally binding, that tweet? Is it?
He was like, anyone can use this anywhere.
Oh, wow.
I don't know.
We'll get in contact with
we're gonna
you
get
too,
Bobby
yeah.
on the show and we'll break it down live.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna go out to run to win because that's what this team's
We're
gotta
running
do.
to 2020 to win the MLS Cup.
That's right.
But
Hey friends, it's been a blast. We'll talk to you very, very soon right here on Tried and True, the DC United post-game podcast presented by Heineken.